Good afternoon. My name is Doug Shipman. I'm the Atlanta City Council President, and it is my pleasure to open this regularly scheduled meeting of the Atlanta City Council, July 5th, 2022. It is good to be back after July 4th. I have a couple of colleagues that are still coming in, but Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Doug Shipman.
Present.
Council members, Post 1 at large Michael Julian Bond. Post 2 at large Matt Westmoreland. Post 3 at large Keisha Shawn Waits.
Present.
Council District 1 Jason Winston.
Here.
Council District 2 Amir Faroki.
Here.
Council District 3 Byron Amos. Council District 4 Jason Dozier.
Present.
Council District 5 Liliana Bakhtiari. Council District 6 Alex Wan.
Present.
Council District 7 Howard Shook. Council District 8 Mary Norwood. Council District 9 Dustin Hillis. Council District 10 Andrea L. Boone. Council District 11 Marcy Collier Overstreet. Council District 12 Antonio Lewis.
Let's go.
Quorum present.
Mr. Clerk, I just note that Mr. Amos has joined us.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Mary Norwood is here.
Councilmember Norwood has joined us.
Duly noted. Virtually.
Just as Councilmember Norwood has joined us virtually today. We'll now move to the adoption of the agenda. There is one additional proclamation today without objection. It will be added to the agenda by Councilmember Boone in recognition of Aaron and Brenda Turpo. No objection, so noted. I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda with the additional proclamation inclusion. Moved by Councilmember Wan, seconded by Councilmember Amos. Do this to unanimous consent. If without objection, any objections to adoption of the agenda? Mr. Clerk, please sound the count of unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent of members present is 12 yeas, 0 nays.
12 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda is adopted. In lieu of a formal invocation today, we will recognize a moment of silence. But before we do so, I would just like to offer my colleagues any opportunity to note those that may have passed. Obviously, we are all heavy of heart with what we saw in Highland Park, Illinois yesterday. But I know there are some others to be noted. Councilmember Boone.
Yes, we would like to offer condolences to the family of Mr. Harold Andrews, who was just a wonderful spirit, worked with our janitorial staff for nearly 30 years here in the city of Atlanta, to Mr. Vince Williams, Ms. Deborah Colbert, Maurice, and the entire staff of DEAM. Thank you for your support for the family of Mr. Harold Andrews. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
Yes, I would like to honor the family of Terrence Denton. The young man was 15 years old, went to Midtown High School, a top student in his class, grew up right on Cleveland Avenue. When I found out at the funeral, he had a 4.3 GPA. And he was a ninth grader who had his whole entire mindset was to be the valedictorian. So I want to send condolences to his family. I also want to say he's the best the city has to offer. And we got to find a way to save kids like this. So huge condolences to his family. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to give condolences to the family of former radio DJ and media personality Mitch Faulkner, who passed from cancer this past week. His best friend, Simon Baby, passed of the same ailment some 6 months ago. Mitch Faulkner had been a fixture in Atlanta radio and media since the early 1980s. So I want to extend to the Faulkner family and his fans and supporters our condolences.
Thank you. Any others of note? With that, and with their memories, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will now move to proclamations, commendations, and other special awards. Without objection, first I will ask Councilmember Bond to come forward. And all of those joining for the recognition of Aaron and Brenda Turpo, come on up and join us up here, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, the City Council often gives awards, accommodations, proclamations, special recognitions to events, times, persons of great note and significance, and in the recognition of current events. But it is also special to recognize those who have given the city of Atlanta so much in the way of service. No, come right around. That's right. And so it is with great joy and great I'm humbled to do it because not only have the Turpo family given the city of Atlanta so much individually, they've given me a lot personally in the way of mentorship, the friendship of their sons. When we were young men getting into what my grandmother would call devilment around the city of Atlanta, you know, good fun. But the Turpo family has given Atlanta so much over these decades that myself and other members of council, Councilperson Boone, Councilperson Overstreet, who've known them for a long time, but all of us who serve here and who have been a part of Atlanta's progress owe them a substantial debt. And so it is with that, I have a proclamation signed by the council president and all 15 members of the Atlanta City Council, and I will read it in pertinent part. Whereas the Atlanta City Council is proud to recognize local icons Aaron and Brenda Turpo for years of service to the city of Atlanta and their immense contributions to the Atlanta community, the state of Georgia, and our nation. Whereas Aaron and Brenda Turpo are partners in life and in business, married for 58 years. They are business owners and community partners serving the citizens of the metro Atlanta area. Entrepreneurs at heart, the Turpos have founded and run numerous businesses, entities, and organizations over the years, including the Aaron Group, where Mr. Turpo served as chairman, and the 3T Unlimited, where he serves as president. Mrs. Brenda Turpo serves as the founder and president of the Clarkston Foundation, a 501c3 organization providing scholarships to African American students. Mrs. Turpo is a trendsetter and opened the first gourmet coffee store, the Coffee Port, in the city of Atlanta. Mrs. Turpo served, and that's before Starbucks and all these other iterations of people hawking coffee. Yes. Ms. Turpo was there first. Mr. Turpo served the city of Atlanta for 17 years in the mayor's cabinet. He served under Mayor Maynard Jackson as the chief of staff, Commissioner of Administrative Services, and Director of Employment and Training, where the state of Georgia accredited he and his staff for training and or employing more than 70,000 disadvantaged Atlantans in 8 years. That deserves some applause right there. He also served under Mayor Andrew Young as the Commissioner of Planning and Development and Commissioner of Administrative Services, where he oversaw the building of the new City Hall, the renovation of the old City Hall, and in addition, Mr. Turpo continues to serve our community as chairman of multiple boards and commissions, including the Keep Atlanta Beautiful, Atlanta Regional Council, Global Atlanta Advisory Council, the Atlanta Black Agenda Business Resource Center, and treasurer and chairman of the Fulton Atlanta Community Action Authority. He previously served as the past chairman of the Cascade United Methodist Church Building Committee, Church Administrative Council, PPR, and Council of Ministries. He is a life member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and Kappa Boule, a Leadership Atlanta alumnus and Leadership Georgia alumnus. And whereas Ms. Brenda Turpo authored the book, Almost Forgotten, The Real America, a historical and genealogical study of future generations. She is very active in our community and is a member of several social and business organizations such as the NAACP. Her mayoral appointed board positions include Acora and the past president of the Dogwood City chapter of the Lynx, and is initiated in the organization's ongoing relationship with Habitat for Humanity. She is also a member of the Cascade United Methodist Church. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, on behalf of the citizens of the city of Atlanta, hereby proclaim this day as the Aaron and Brenda Turpo Day in our fair city, and witness thereof, I have set my hand and have caused the seal of the city of Atlanta to be hereunto affixed. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Turpo. But as they say in late night television, but wait, there's more. Councilwoman Boone.
Yes. Thank you, Councilmember Bond. And to this legendary family, Mr. Aaron Turpo, thank you for all you have meant to the city of Atlanta. I remember going out to the Lakewood Fairgrounds, and you had 300 of us teaching us GOTV, get out the vote. You are truly one of our unsung heroes. You have taught us so much about getting out the vote, knocking on doors, community engagement. You worked with my late father, the Reverend Joseph E. Boone, the Honorable C.T. Martin, and for that, we will always cherish those memories. Thank you, and I am so happy to be joined by my neighbors, the Honorable Henrietta Antonine. Where is she? Miss Henrietta Antonine, thank you. If you would come on up. And Billy Aaron, Hank Aaron's wife, thank you so much for being here. Miss Ruby Lucas, Reverend Gerald Durley, thank you. I see the pastor here from Cascade United Methodist Church is here also. Thank you all so much for being here. Flowers. Now, on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta City Council, District 10, this is just a small token of our appreciation. Reverend Dr. Kevin Murrell, thank you so much, sir, for being here. Mr. Michael Hightower, thank you. Is Miss Marilyn Arrington also here? This chambers is named after the Honorable Marvin Arrington Sr. Thank you.
Junior's here.
Is Junior here? Fulton County Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr. Thank you all so much. Reverend Murrell, thank you. Reverend Murrell. Reverend Murrell.
We also have Mayor Kasim Reed.
Where's the mayor?
Right there.
The Honorable Mayor Kasim Reed, please come on up. Thank you.
Please come
Come on up. The Honorable Mayor, 59th Mayor of the City of Atlanta, Kasim Reed. You next.
First of all, I want to just say that the story of Cascade United Methodist Church cannot be written without Aaron and Brenda Turpo. They have meant so much to our congregation, to this community, to me personally. I will tell you that I met them early on in my ministry, and they have continued to be a family that we can always call upon. I consider Aaron to be a mentor. I told him he missed his call as a preacher. He could have been both. But I'm deeply grateful for how they use their platform, their voice, and their love for people to be of service to this community. So congratulations on behalf of the more than 7,000 members who call Cascade home. We want to say thank you for how you continue to serve our church, our community, and set a prime example for all of us to follow. Congratulations.
I simply want to say what a thrill it is, what a pleasure it is, what a great opportunity it is for me to be a neighbor of the Turpos. When I need to borrow a cup of sugar or a little salt, I call on Brenda. We have been friends ever since they moved behind Henry and me some years ago. I don't know exactly how long that was, Brenda. 32 years we've been neighbors. And now, of course, I'm in a different position. I may have to move over there with you. Thank you so much for being friends. I have enjoyed so much your family and being a part of the Aaron family. Thank you, and thank you with all my heart.
Oh, thank you. Let me follow up to the speech. I'd like to follow up to Mrs. Aaron's speech. When we were trying to buy the land from Hank Aaron, it took Aaron 6 months to purchase that land from Hank before he would say yes. And Aaron swore to him that he would be a good neighbor, and he kept that word. Thank you. Okay, now.
I have been in Atlanta. Really, I was born in this city. And I remember when Aaron came here and began to work with Maynard Jackson. But I just want to say personally, I have never called on Aaron when he didn't come. And that's something that speaks very loud. It speaks volumes. I've worked around the city in campaigns and in many different areas, but never did I forget to call Aaron. As a matter of fact, not forget, he was first on my list. And he always gave me an encouragement to go farther. When I had his support, then I knew I could go in another direction. So I want to say thank you, Aaron and Brenda, for all you've done and what you continue to do for our community. Thank you.
Atlanta's strength has always been founded upon an ethical and a moral foundation. On behalf of the concerned black clergy of Atlanta, Georgia, I bring greetings to Brenda and to Aaron, because any time that of all the congregations, whether it's Muslim, Christians, or Jewish, Aaron Turpo was always there. The moral and ethical position that he would always challenge us to do, he would say it and he would mean it. But what was most important, we gave him hell. And he always graciously said, let's look at it. And he would go back and speak with the other city council people. And because of his uncanny ability to work above and beyond, we could all come together. And because of you, we're a better city. We understand what it means to treat people fairly, honestly, and decently. And the equality that we all look for comes from the foundation that you and Brenda did. So on behalf of all of the clergy in this city, thank you, Turpos.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome the former mayor, Mayor Kasim Reed. Please come forward.
Great cities are held up by extraordinary individuals. And what Brenda and Aaron Turpo and the entire Turpo family represent is the specialness of Atlanta. When you look around us, the reason that this rostrum is packed is because all of us in one way or another graduated from the Turpo University. There are also moments that you should not miss. And having a moment today to lift up these extraordinary individuals, to humbly bow and say thank you, is one that we should not miss.
All right. Well, we have several members of the Turpo family here. We have Aaron Turpo Jr. and his wife and family. Y'all wave to the folks. We have, Michelle Marty Turpo and Dr. Grant from AHA.
And Dr.
Alan Turpo. And I don't want to miss anybody, but if everybody just looks at the camera and waves, we give it to the head, not the heart. But you can see from the impact of the folks who've come down, the type of impact that they have. And one of the phrases that Mr. Turpo always used, I can never get used to call him Aaron at all, but is tip top.
Tip top.
These folks are tip top. And without further ado, I'm going to give them the microphone to allow a few gracious words to impart to us. Mr. Turpo.
Just a few. Yes, I'm tip-top every day. And I've been done everything I want to do with city government. I've been a pleasure to work with the city because I love this city. I know all you do. But I just want to say thank you for your support throughout the years. The city council, keep up the good work. Mr. Mayor, keep up the good work. And just keep moving the city forward and caring for the people. It's all about that. Thank you very much for your support.
I'm not a politician, okay? But I'm going to say when Aaron worked with the city under Maynard and Andy, we got a 5:30 call every morning from Jesse Hill.
That's right.
I know you did. Thank you for being here to help us celebrate.
So without further ado, we will organize for the picture. We want the Turpos and honored guests to come up front and be joined by our colleagues on the City Council. Mr. President, please come up to the front.
We also got Councilmember Kwanzaa Hall.
Oh, former Councilmember Kwanzaa Hall, our former Congressman, is here. Come on up. If you all are...
Unless you have
leadership. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to tell. I'm a camp. I'm going to tell. What's up, Newt? Johnson, right.
Good at camera, yeah.
Look at the camera. The screen straight ahead. We're good on 26.
To the right a little bit, everybody. Bounce
Fantastic. Keep up the good work.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you exit to the right, please gather in front of the seal outside the door, the gold and green seal outside the door. And we want to thank everyone who had a part of this. Want to personally thank our president, Doug Shipman, for his graciousness today. Where's Doug? Oh, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you all very much. If someone is known by their friends, the Turpos are certainly well known, as is clear by those who were with us today. Next, I will invite Councilmember Overstreet up to, and anyone connected with the recognition of DJ Tump, please come forward.
Come on in. Let's bunch up as much as we can. Come on in.
What's going on?
Where is that camera? Okay, yeah. Maybe I should be on the other side of you.
Wherever you want.
Okay. Hot mic.
Trying to learn how to.
Everybody, come on in.
That come right. That's confusing. That one, she trying to see.
Can we get some to come on this side as well? I want to make sure we can get as many as possible.
I can believe that too.
While we're all getting settled in, I just want to let everyone know how full my heart is today, because Southwest Atlanta is in the house today. And what it does is it shows you that there are so many threads that come together in the community to make that quilt. And that's what we're doing today. Like Southwest Atlanta and Atlanta, period, is full of legacy and noteworthy individuals and families that have come together to make this remarkable city that we have today. And a lot of them are like quiet storms, like my friend Toomp. That's what I call him for the last few decades, and he is literally family and always has been, and he's such a critical piece of thread in our lives, and not just our lives, but his words and his wonderfulness spreads throughout the nation, as you will hear during this proclamation. And it is these things, these fabrics in our community that builds these quilts, that shows our diversity in not just history, but politics and lifestyles, and deep in our communities of just learning and loving together, and music. The city of Atlanta really does influence everything because we're that diverse. And that's why today you have so many people here that are ready to celebrate Southwest Atlantans and Atlantans as a total, because that's who we are. We change lives throughout the world in ways that people don't even think about. And, you know, let me tell you, DJ Toomp, no one would know all of these things because he's not going to tell you. He's not going to tell you. You won't have a clue what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and hurry up and read the proclamation so that you'll understand what my excitement is about. And I know everyone up here knows, but here we go. The Atlanta City Council, in recognition of Aldrin DJ Toomp Davis. Whereas the Atlanta City Council is pleased to recognize the 3-time Grammy award-winning multi-platinum record producer. Come on, y'all. Songwriter, exactly. Songwriter, world-renowned entertainer, Aldrin DJ Toomp Davis. And whereas DJ Toomp grew up in Southwest Atlanta in a family of musicians, while connecting his craft and love of music and entertainment during his elementary school years, he garnered a special appreciation for bass lines, pianos, horns, and strings, which influenced his adoration of music. He developed a custom sound that features orchestration and his trademark drum patterns. In his teen years, DJ Toomp's reputation grew after playing parties and displaying his innovative turntable sequences and unique flow, cementing his place as one of Atlanta's premier DJs. Inspired by the music in the 1980s, he incorporated layers of sounds and beats to help define Southern hip-hop. We all know what that is. Whereas DJ Toomp's journey inside the music industry began with nationwide and international tours with MC Shy D, Uncle Luke, with the 2 Live Crew. He made significant contributions to the New Jack City soundtrack, and at the age of 19 produced Shake It. It was his first song to become a hit across the country. And whereas DJ Toomp's early contributions played a significant role in the evolution of Atlanta's music scene with collaborations with the award-winning artists including T.I., Organized Noise, Lil Jon, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Jeezy, Rick Ross, Ludacris, Rihanna, Nas, 2 Chainz, Pitbull, DJ Khaled, Glasses Malone, Wale, Twisted Black, I know, right? Wale. Yeah, Wale. Twisted Black, T-Pain, Blackjack, Da Black was 8 Ball, MJG, The Game, Bone Crusher, Ari Lennox, and Mariah Carey. Come on now. And whereas DJ Toomp's catalog of work showcases his talent and the respect he has earned in the business and hits on the Billboard Hit 100. 3 Grammy Awards and more than 80 say it again? Discographies credits his production. I am nervous. I can't believe I am, but I am. Songwriting, musical arrangements, instruments, performances, and remixes. Now, therefore, be resolved that we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta, do hereby recognize Aldrin DJ Toomp Davis for his early innovation, influence, and involvement in the music and entertainment industry. Y'all, I am so excited to present this proclamation to DJ Toomp. I think I'm nervous because this is family. And I just want to make sure that everyone understands just how amazing he has been to this city and the world. So thank you very much for allowing us to do this for you and with you. Anyone that would like to speak, I'm so happy for you to come up and speak. But we will just hand this to you.
Wow.
This is my sister, Cherry Collier. I know she would like to say a word or two, just because.
Well, what I want to say is growing up in Southwest Atlanta is absolutely a gift. And what makes it a gift is, like my sister was saying, all of the amazing things that we're able to do. But what makes today so special is the opportunity to have celebrated the Turpos, but also celebrate this wonderful man, Aldrin Davis. The thing about Toomp is that he gives and he gives and he gives, and he listens, and he really genuinely cares. And his music is just one way that he's able to touch lives, but he really touches lives with how deeply and immensely that he wants us all to be successful. And so I am so excited that my sister and the rest of the council members from the city of Atlanta have recognized him, because he would never have asked anyone to recognize him, because he doesn't. He carries an amazing stick. His list, if you heard all of those names, half of them, I'm glad she had to pronounce them, because I would not have been able to even start pronouncing them. And we'll be in different places, and a song will come on, and he'll move in a certain way. I'm like, that's your song? But he doesn't want credit. And I think the thing that's amazing about people is that you can have whatever you want if you help enough other people get there. And so we're going to celebrate his greatness, and we all stand on his shoulders, and we're all in this together. And we've got to make our city the city that we're continually proud of. The people who are doing bad things, that's not us. And all rappers and all people who make a certain type of music, that's not us either. He is a great person, and all of these people here from Southwest Atlanta, District 11 and around, we are here because we care. We didn't fly here, we grew here.
So I'd like for a couple council members to speak, and then we'll get to the family and friends.
So I like that quote. Speaking as a person who grew here, not flew here. Okay. And we always hear about Atlanta influences everything. They got T-shirts on them. That's why DJ Toomp made it cool for us to say "Shouty" worldwide, because a lot of people don't know. We might say "Shouty," but young men from Atlanta also know how to read, swim, run, dance, and we can do anything else in the world. But we just say "Shouty" too. And so DJ Toomp made our lingo more acceptable worldwide. When they say Atlanta influences everything, he's been the one pushing us. So I want to say I appreciate you for your service to our city. I appreciate you for your service to hip-hop. I listen to rap all day, every day. I think everybody knows that. So I want to say I appreciate you for helping T.I., helping Atlanta stop just being crunk music, but helping us get some people that can actually put some words together. So thank you again for your service to the city.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Thank you.
you know, this is the beauty of Atlanta, that we can represent and celebrate a Turpo and a DJ Toomp all in the same room on the same day. But being an Atlanta native, you know, long before Andre 3000 said that the South got something to say, long before we was buying your records out of Peppermint and West End Mall, I'm going to be quiet because I'm dating myself, but your voice was one of the ones that was leading the way, the foundation of rap, rhythm American poetry. You know, when we were making mixtapes by hitting stop and then record, then stop. You know, back in those days, King Edwards J was out in the East, but you, Taz, Raheem, all of the guys, Kilo, all of you pioneers that paved the way for some of the music, because you guys had nothing to do with what we listen to now, but some of the music that we dance and still can enjoy listening today. That's longevity, and that's what you actually get in the game to do. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the wonderful years that I have listened to your style of music and your music directly, and the many more years that that I look forward to. So just thank you for everything.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, brother.
Well, this is my cousin, and I'm talking real cousin, not like we just made it up. Our dads are brothers. And I can truly say that this man is and has always been the guy that you see right here today. Just a great human being, nothing but love for the world and all of mankind. And as the brother said before, just wants to see everybody shine. So thank you, cousin. Great example, brother. I love you, man.
Oh, you too, guy.
Yes, sir.
This is my uncle. Proud of him for a lot of reasons. It's like my daddy, for real. Late nights, he be up. We trying to go to sleep. Can't sleep because you want to make beats all night. But, like, determination, I don't know. Like, I get so nervous, but I'm very proud of you. Everything you do, you work hard for it. You keep me, like, you know, wanting to keep going because there's just I've looked up you my whole life, you know? So I appreciate y'all for appreciating him. And, yeah, that's all I have.
My name is Melanie Patrick, and I represent UKTL. That's where I met Toomp. Well, I met Toomp long time ago. I was in high school, but Toomp, a lot of people are speaking on his musical foundation, but a lot of people don't know how spiritual he is, how giving he is, how loving he is, and how he pushes us to follow through. A lot of times people go outside of Atlanta to get heard first, but he made sure that he stayed here in Atlanta to push Atlanta first, and I appreciate that. So on behalf of UKTL, we would like to say, yeek!
The Honorable Mayor Reed.
I can't believe you're nervous. You look so nice, too.
I'm never nervous. Just so y'all know, I'm never nervous.
I know.
So, yeah, I am. I want to make sure it's perfect.
You look good being nervous, so don't worry about it. You know, in my opinion, being solid is the new black. And what I wanted to say about Toomp is he's just one of the best people that I know. And today, as we stand in this room, the film and entertainment business in the city and state of Georgia is a $9.5 billion business that employs about 40,000 people. I'm just here to state for the record, a cornerstone element of that is standing over my left shoulder, DJ Toomp. 40 million records sold. I want to put a fine point on that, and that's a low number, standing over my left shoulder. You all have heard of Dre and Snoop. You've also heard of Puff and Big. What you need to have heard of is T.I. and Toomp. That's what's standing over my shoulder. So sometime you need to call the roll for folks because they won't call the roll for themselves. And that's why I wanted to be here to stand beside this brother today to call the roll.
because he's been doing it since Raheem the Dream and Eliminator, which is my all-time favorite Tune record. So today, man, we came here to salute you, Councilwoman Overstreet. Thank you for making this possible and making this happen. And I just want the record to be clear that when the history of Atlanta as an entertainment capital is written, that Aldrin Tune Davis's name needs to be right up on that wall. God bless you, brother.
You ready to speak?
Two more. Can't get out of it.
Past Congressman Kwanzaa Hall.
Thank you, Councilmember Overstreet. Toomp.
What's up, my guy?
Man, I've done a lot of things. Science Project saved my life, but also said DJ saved my life. We were growing up, we were a little bit younger than Toomp, but we had a breakdance group, and we needed a DJ, and he was our favorite DJ over at Jelly Beans, and he was willing to give his time as a mentor to come out and support us at Morris Brown Jam. So I just want to come and say thank you. We had to salute you today. I could have been a lot of places right after the 4th of July, but I wanted to let you know we appreciate you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Sir.
How's everybody doing tonight, or this evening or afternoon? My name is Cedric Young. DJ Toomp found me beat battling down at the Apache Cafe. This brother brought me into his crew. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, so I'm not a native Atlantan, but he made me feel like I was at home. This brother taught me how to produce. I was already producing, but he took me to another level. This brother put some money in my pocket. I took that money, went to college with it. I didn't buy any jewelry, any cars with it. But I'm just very thankful to have built this relationship with this brother. This is an awesome brother. Only thing I can say is, as we journey through life, we always want to make sure that we reach back and help somebody up. And I can honestly say this brother reached back and helped me up. And thank you, DJ Toomp, for everything.
My God.
Good evening, everybody. I was one of those guys who flew here, just to break the ice here. DJ Toomp, man, it's a lot of all the accomplishments, all of the inspiration he's given off to the city of Atlanta and beyond. I'm from Washington, D.C. My name is Tone P. And I actually met him in a session at, Zach Studios beside Stankonia, in a session with Wale, actually. Wale. Yeah, Wale, right? And we grew as brothers there, and he was always a mentor, and I got to work with him personally over the next couple of years at his facility. And outside of the music, I just wanted to highlight the fact that Toomp is an excellent person. He's a great person. I was going through a lot of things, as you know, at the time, and he was big bro to me in a lot of situations. So I just wanted to put a spotlight on his character and his candor, and it's Toomp Day. Thank you.
Last one.
First of all, I just want to give honor to God that we're here today to celebrate a cornerstone, a pillar of our community. I'm not originally up in Atlanta. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. But Toomp is the kind of person that makes you feel you're a part of this community. When he brings you into the community, he don't bring you in just music. He brings you in as family. He's opened his doors to many of us up here, to me, and he's opened his doors to many people that through the music. And so when you celebrate him and you celebrate what a person stands for, always remember the music is just one step, but the person is the biggest step. And he's the greatest person you will ever want to know.
Wow, I didn't think y'all were going to put me on the mic. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the guy everybody's talking about, DJ Toomp. And I'm honored to receive this, just being, recognized. And I mean, been doing this since 1985. Started off as a hobby. Never knew it would take it this far. I never even thought hip-hop would even go this far. But, because the South, we never really got our shine too tough. Of course, you got the groups from Atlanta back in the 70s, from the Gladys Knights, Hamilton Bohannon, Gene Carn, and a long list of others. But when it came to the hip-hop community, we really wasn't getting too much respect, especially from up, the New York as well, the mecca of hip-hop. And finally, this guy, Micaiah Raheem, we decided to go to the studio and put something together, not knowing that we was really going to put a real flag in our city and just take it where it is now. So, like I say, it started off as a hobby. I had to take myself to school and put a few things out there. Like I say, it was a lot of free things I've done, just really helping people. But then once I started learning the actual business, that's when I really started taking it more seriously. And then I started understanding the whole thing of just networking and helping others. And without even expecting anything from it, I was just helping people. Next thing you know, great things started coming about. I started attracting more great people. As my career took off, I just decided to, hey, let me start a production company. And that's why I just started having a few Atlanta producers. We got this guy from D.C., Indianapolis. And we was just in there just creating music. So, and to be recognized for, like I say, once again, for something that started off as a hobby and then just turn around and actually use that energy to influence the whole city on so many ways as far as teaching young ladies how to be young ladies, but definitely raising these young men and teaching them how to be gentlemen. Of course, pull your pants up, do something with yourself. So, and on a spiritual level, I do a whole lot of that, so I don't have no problem pulling up even at your home, just mentoring your kids if I need to, I go any elementary school, high school graduates, I've done that on a few occasions. Want to do that more because I think a lot of them really need to hear some great things from, solid people who've experienced a lot of things in life. But like I say, I'm here, man, and I'm just glad to see my fam here, all my friends, everyone. Y'all came up and represented, and I love this city. Atlanta influences everything. Don't want to say that in a cocky way, but it's real. It's real. It's the truth. And so, like we say, we got the film companies here, and the music business has been here. So, and now it's starting to turn into the tech. We got tech, and a lot of other big companies here. So, like I say, I was just telling everybody here who don't know each other, it's network. Even the people in here in this audience, y'all network with each other. Find out who do what, and that's how we build. That's how we just strengthen each other. So, let's go, y'all. We here for one thing, but we can definitely try to network as much as possible, y'all. That way you'll be helping somebody and somebody can help you in so many ways. So, like I say, I got a little nervous up here, but it's cool. I just had to definitely speak and show y'all how appreciative I am of everything. Like I say, for the turnout and for you all acknowledging, the work that I've put in, and I've definitely got a whole lot more to do, 53 years on this planet, try to get 53 more.
So, thank you, everyone. We're going to go up here and take a picture.
Okay.
As I look through, let's move forward. Yep. As I look through, I see so many people that just really have warmed my heart over the years, and I want to thank you all for coming, for sure. I don't want to start with the names. That would be a problem.
This is up.
After 4 years, we got her to change. How about that? Oh, does anyone need to come across the front like we did last? For the last time? Anyone want to come down?
Why don't you everybody turn their shoulders?
I'll come down. I'll come down.
That's what we're saying.
All right.
Act like y'all love each other. That's perfect. Thanks,
Okay. We have one more proclamation today. We have one more proclamation from Councilmember Bakhtiari. Everyone associated with the recognition of Chronic Disease Day, please come forward.
Look, I know it's hard to follow up DJ Toomp, but please. And if nobody's coming up here, that's totally fine. You coming up here with me, Keisha? I don't know. We'll make this quick since I know we have a lot of people who want to speak publicly today, but we're gathering here today in recognition of Chronic Disease Day. As we know, one of the reasons this is so important is because in the U.S. we don't talk about preemptive health care at all. This is in hopes to draw more attention to that and get more people speaking about it. So, in recognition of Chronic Disease Day, you want to go ahead and start reading that for me? We'll make it very, very quick, and I will just say that now that we are the members of Atlanta City Council on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta, do hereby recognize the 10th day of July 2022 as Chronic Disease Day in the City of Atlanta and urge residents to join together to discuss ways to improve caregiving and health outcomes in our community. So we'll just go ahead and be really quick, take a photo, and then we can get started with public comment.
I know, I'm fast.
Thank you all. We'll now move to remarks by the public. As a reminder, each speaker has 2 minutes unless they have been yielded time by someone else who has signed up. I'll do my best with everybody's name. I apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. First, we have Laurent McGee.
Hello, my name is Leron McGee. I'm a volunteer activist. I represent the nonprofit From Me Unto Unity. I'm here today to speak on behalf of the Forest Cove apartment tenants. The issue is, I had a call yesterday from a family member of a Forest Cove tenant, and what she told me is that the tenant has not received any help with getting housing. So what she did, she reached out to some people and they helped her get housing, but she had to take out a loan. She had to take out 2 loans from one of those loan companies to afford the housing, and she took 2 weeks off of work. The $1.5 million that was wrote into legislation back on May 16th, the people of Forest Cove, to help the people of Forest Cove move, the people of Forest Cove have no idea of how to access those funds. They were supposed to be out by June 15th. This is all they know. They're still there. They don't know if they will be put outdoors. They don't have any help. No one from the city of Atlanta has helped them or came out to speak with them. They reached out to me. I put a Facebook post up yesterday after receiving that call. I had tenants start calling me saying, do they have to put in an application, saying that other tenants are just leaving to find temporary shelter in fear that they'll be put out one day and their stuff will be put out. So I'm asking you, I've been calling Jason Winston's office, and sister, what's her name, Cheryl Bennett, your chief of staff, she has not returned my calls. I need some kind of help with finding a way to let the people know, the tenants know, how do they access the $1.5 million, and how do we get reimbursements for the ones who have paid out-of-pocket expenses. Thank you so much. And I need literature. If you can get me literature, flyers, I go out myself, I have volunteers, and we'll pass the information out to them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Henry Jordan.
Give down to the Spirit of God, everyone that's here. But we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in God which raises the dead. 2 Corinthians 1st chapter 9th verse. Therefore a man cannot trust in his own heart, but must leave all to God, who alone knows the heart and judges all men fairly. To trust in your flesh leads to death, but to trust in the Spirit of Christ leads to life. James' grip to rob me of the income Christ created in me is an act of death. Justice and judgment are the habitation of thy throne. Mercy and truth shall go before thy face, Psalms 89th chapter, 14th verse. Social justice is the notion that everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social opportunities, irrespective of race, gender, or religion. Why shouldn't I receive the income Jesus created in me? And why should the income go to anyone else? Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us into Christ, that we might be justified by faith. Galatians 3rd chapter 24th verse. The law pointed out our sin and led us to Christ, who alone can put away sin. Your laws that would rob me of the income Jesus created in me didn't create the income. Jesus says the glory and honor belong to him alone, not injustice, deceit, pride, etc. Men can stop some bombs, but Christ can stop all bombs. Behold, here I am witness against me before the Lord and before the anointed. Whose ox have I taken? Whose ass have I taken? Whom have I defrauded? Whom have I oppressed? Of whose hand have I received any bribe to bind mine eyes therewith? And I will restore it you. 1 Samuel 12th chapter 3rd verse. The law that justifies the fraud and oppression is of the devil. God's righteousness law created the income, not men's unrighteous laws. Laws can't save us from destruction, but Christ's word can.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Allison Kaufman.
afternoon. My name is Allison Kaufman. I'm the Executive Director of the Amplify Georgia Collaborative and the Chair of the Reproductive Justice Commission. Since I last spoke, Roe has been overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court, and we're now facing a very real possibility of a 6-week abortion ban here in Georgia. Since the decision, phones have been ringing nonstop in Atlanta abortion clinics as folks try to access care while they still can. This is putting enormous strain on clinic workers. Abortion is still legal up to 20 weeks in Georgia, but the 6-week ban, if it were to go into effect, we could expect the vast majority of Georgians to have to travel out of state as far as North Carolina or Virginia to access care. This would make abortion only accessible to those with resources and means. Why does this matter? Not only is this a fundamental right, but recent data shows that following a complete ban on abortion, we can expect to see a 21% increase in maternal mortality and a 33% increase for Black mamas. And Georgia already leads the country in maternal death. Now is the time for state and local governments to stand up for Georgia's rights to bodily autonomy. I am heartened by the mayor's recent statement in support for the right to abortion and the city council's continued support to access. Thank you for putting your money where your values are and introducing a resolution to support ARC Southeast, Georgia's only abortion fund. ARC runs a health line open to all Georgians struggling to cover the cost of their care. This health line reaches those most in need. Over 86% of ARC's callers are people of color, 77% are already parents, and 87% are uninsured or on Medicaid, meaning their abortion care is not covered by insurance. In 2021 alone, ARC supported 6,000 Southerners to access care, and the need for ARC support is increasing rapidly. Finally, I hope your work won't stop there, and you'll finally fulfill your pledge to fully close and turn over to the community the ACDC jail. This will not only free up money for reproductive justice work, but also for mental health care, diversion programs, housing, and much more. Thank you.
Thank you. I would remind everybody, hand clapping is not allowed in the chamber. You can snap, you can hand wave. Henry Samuels is next.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the City Council for giving me the chance today to speak about my friend Miriam. When I met Miriam, she was working at a bar on Edgewood Avenue, and although we had mutual friends, we hadn't really become acquainted until one particular day when I stopped by her job on the way home from work. I'd been having a rough week dealing with a long-distance relationship, and, well, that's not important, but what is important is she could tell I was sad, and she comforted me. Without question, she treated me like an old friend. Miriam had a way of relating to anyone and everyone. She just had an ability to make you feel at home and make you feel loved. Eventually, Miriam began dating my friend Jerry, and after some time, they started living together in a home down the street from my house. When I learned my friend Miriam had been kidnapped, I was shocked beyond belief, and then shortly after, we received the devastating news that she was no longer with us. As we learned the details of her murder, I couldn't help but think, what if? What if I had been outside on my front porch drinking coffee just a little bit earlier that morning? Would I have been able to do something to stop it? I think a lot of us are grappling with our own what ifs, and we grapple with these what ifs when we lose someone. And those what ifs will drive you crazy. They'll drive you crazy thinking about them. But how about this for a what if? What if we passed Miriam's Law and tried to create a safer Atlanta and a safer Georgia for everyone? That's a what if that I don't mind thinking about or going crazy over. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Mia Knighton.
Hi, my name is Mia with People for the People. I'm sorry I don't have much of a voice today, but I still wanted to speak. Yesterday, I made the plan to show up today and talk strictly about abortion rights and things like that, but unfortunately I cannot because of what happened at the Capitol with us yesterday. I'm sure many of you are unaware, but around 8:30 p.m., a fully peaceful and compliant protest was forced to disperse due to the unnecessary threats and aggressive acts of the Capitol and Atlanta police partnered with the GSP. Yesterday, multiple lives were risked for the sake of a power display by those that are sworn to protect us. I myself am 8 months pregnant, and I have been fighting like hell for my daughter and her rights. 9 days of sitting in for over 100 hours personally and over 200 as a group. And thanks to the policing and unnecessary aggression of the police, I have been forced to carry supplies back and forth between locations, all to remain compliant. I had to sleep on the concrete without blankets or pillows so we could remain compliant. And yesterday, I was sprayed directly in the face with a fire extinguisher during the attempts to get us to disperse, hence my voice. And despite always being compliant and following direct instructions, we were still forced to disperse. What about any of that is prioritizing safety? If we care for the community's well-being, then we'll prioritize the health care of people everywhere. Atlanta can put aside $300,000 of city funds to help people get the support they need for abortions, and we can put our money where our mouth is and invest in the resources to help individuals and families thrive. And if you want to be there for the people, you will listen to the people, especially those here today, and allow us to continue having a voice. We plan to follow up about police misconduct and our rights of free speech and assembly. We had a right to continue our sit-in, and will continue taking action no matter what. When human rights are under attack, what will we do? We will stand up and fight back. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Kristen Hart. Kristen Hart.
Good afternoon. Today I'm here with a group of people that have become my family as we sat on the Capitol steps protesting the recent overturn of Roe v. Wade for the past 9 days until we were forcibly removed by the Atlanta Police Department, Georgia State Patrol, and Georgia State Capitol Police. We understand that what the Supreme Court does is out of your hands, but now it is up to you to protect Georgians and Atlantans as they seek and deserve bodily autonomy. As of 2020, Georgia had the second highest maternal mortality rate in the country in Georgia. If you are a black woman, you are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth or pregnancy. Abortion is life-saving medical care, and it must be protected equally under the law. Black people and other people of color are going to be the people hit the hardest by these abortion bans that Brian Kemp has ready to implement. This will not stand, and the people of Atlanta are here to say we look forward to seeing this council create an abortion fund to protect pregnant people and specifically BIPOC pregnant people. Protecting abortion is essential to ensuring all Georgians have equal access to health care, and with the city of Atlanta behind us, we can stand up for the people that Brian Kemp has left behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nia Phillips, and due to yielded time, you'll have 4 minutes.
Hi, City Council.
Over the past 9 days that the police had to go and look up laws and said that things were unlawful when they weren't. When we were reading the law to them, they said that it was their job to interpret what the law was saying. From my knowledge, that is not true whatsoever. It is their job to enforce the laws that are already in place. We were unlawfully removed from the steps last night on account of fireworks which were not present whatsoever. Thank you.
Next will be Kayla Fryer.
Hello.
and thank you for your time. I am here today with People for the People. For the past 9 days, we have been on the steps of the Capitol day and night, risking heat exhaustion and being drenched in monstrous thunderstorms. If that is not proof enough of our dedication, then listen to the strain in my voice. I have barely taken a moment to rest since the Supreme Court passed their decision, because no matter what else I may have going on in my life, the most important thing is to build up a better world for future generations. That should be everyone's top priority, especially yours. This is impeding on our human rights, regardless of your religion, your political views, or your personal standing on the matter of abortion. It does not give you the right to force those views onto somebody else. Each and every one of us deserve the right to make the decision for ourselves. Growing up, everybody wants to preach about how you don't know the circumstances surrounding someone else's life and how you don't know what leads to them making certain decisions. That applies here as well. An abortion is not an easy decision. There are numerous factors that one must take into account when making this choice, whether that be financial situation, what led to the pregnancy, if the mother's body can handle the kind of stress it would place on her. Going through with the pregnancy but giving the child up for adoption cannot be the only answer, as if the foster care system or adoption agencies don't already have enough children fighting for a home somewhere in this world and constantly being met with disappointment. But I'm sure you've heard all of these arguments already and possibly already taken them into consideration. However, what you now need to take into consideration and you now need to process is how many of us are willing to speak out and fight for our right to choose and control our own bodily autonomy. In this one city, we have seen immense community support backing our statement on the Capitol steps. We would not have lasted this long without them. We are a small part of an immensely larger movement. Every level of government has a role to play. I'm asking the city of Atlanta to do everything you can to support our access to this essential care, no matter what happens. Today I ask of you, no, I demand of you, as a citizen you are meant to be representing, to think about the people. If we, the people, are not being taken into account, then what does this country actually stand for? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is MJ Yonner. MJ Yonner.
Hello. I'm here with People for the People, and as they've already mentioned, we were removed from the Capitol steps last night during a peaceful protest that lasted 218 hours, and I decided I would address the legality of what actually happened last night. We were given multiple codes that I don't believe the police even understood themselves. We were given the code 1611-33, which was an unlawful assembly, which our assembly was not unlawful. There were no crimes committed. They said we had committed the crime of having a firework on government property. We did not. There were no fireworks present during the protest at all. And I really hope that we can address the police in this situation. Throughout the entirety of this protest, I have been here nearly every single day. I have spoken with nearly every single officer who approached us, and not once was I given a reason, an actual reason, as to why we were being approached. It was always my supervisor told me to. We were not given any laws that we had violated when we were removed from those steps. Not a single law. And when we were removed, we were given 5 minutes to get all of our things and leave the entire square. That costed us hundreds of dollars in damages for police who didn't even know what they were talking about. And I hope that from this point forward, from what happened last night, we can better train the police force into understanding the laws that they're meant to be upholding. They're meant to protect the people, not scare us. Thank you.
Next will be Garrett Saab.
Good afternoon, Atlanta City Council members. My name is Garrett, and today I will be speaking on behalf of Miriam's Law. Excuse me, I'm a bit nervous. I'll be reading a statement from Miriam's older sister who could not be here today. Her name is Mona, and I'll go ahead and start. Never did I think I would have the privilege to speak in front of the Atlanta City Council. Now more than ever do I believe it is in the hands of our leaders to protect its community. Never would we have ever predicted that we could lose our Miriam to a preventable crime. I want to emphasize preventable. Maybe it was a wrong place, wrong time, unlucky situation, but it was not. As the details have unfolded, we've learned DeMarcus was out past curfew. We've learned he was never leveled as a sex offender based on the severity of his past crimes. These are the few items this city could have controlled and prevented Miriam's death. To think there could be another person capable of doing this, roaming freely this second, is why Miriam's Law is so important. I find it surreal that 11 months later we have made the progress we have made because of the support we have received from the leaders like you. I want to emphasize, if we can just save one more life, if we can prevent this from happening to one more individual, then this would have been all worth it. Everyone in this room has sisters, nieces, aunts, daughters, mothers, and friends that they care about. We never thought that a tragedy like this could fall on our family, but the reality is it can happen to anyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next will be Alma Lott.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm speaking on housing in our communities. Y'all, I'm not going to just stand up here and just hold a whole subject about what's going on in these communities and about the homelessness. Y'all know that people are being put on the street every day. I've been in Bang City for over 30 years, and for the past 10 years, I've been seeing families put up on the streets. I have spoken about this. And I have told you all, I said, y'all going to bring crime in our community. And that's what you did. Y'all released youths that have nowhere to go. And it's a shame that we're getting misled. I mean to say, everybody being voted in, and then when you get the seats, you forget about the people. But when you lose your voters out the community, just think, you got the new developments coming in, out-of-town developments. Who gonna vote y'all in? Y'all not gonna have the people that put you there. So you all need to stop and come to your communities. Address the people. And Mr. Jason, I've been hearing since you've been in that seat, your community haven't heard from you. And it's a shame that one individual got to go through this and continue on through this. I've been in Vine City, English Avenue, West End. Y'all know the families are sleeping under the bridges. It's a shame y'all won't address this. It's a shame y'all brought this to our community to us. We can't afford to live in it. Now y'all done such zone enforcement on us. I mean, it's a shame. You need to wake up. We're the people. We the one got y'all there. And we want y'all to address us. Let us know what's going on with this housing money. City of Atlanta get millions and millions of dollars every year from HUD. Where's this money going? Stop putting up fake news like y'all are helping people in the community.
Thank you. This is the last time I'm going to ask. Please do not clap or shout after comments in respect for all the comments. Thank you. Next will be Margie McLeod.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I was here once before. I'm not going to give up. We need rent control. We could do this. We could do everything else. We need rent control. What I'm saying, we could put this on the ballot. we could put this rent control on the ballot and let the people vote for it. Because we have people, like you're saying, we cannot afford this rent. We have seniors cannot afford this rent. Also, we have college students coming back. They're not going to be able to afford that rent. And we have churches is closing because the people can't tithe. Because the food done went up, gas done went up, and we could do this. Put it on the ballot. Unban it. And I'm going to the governor, and I'm talking to him also. We need rent control. We have a crisis here in Georgia. It's not just the city, it's everywhere. So put on your thinking hat like everything else. We need rent control. Put it on the ballot. This November, we could do this. Because I'm getting petitioned. Because everybody's talking about we cannot afford. So your city employee can't afford the rent either. So we need this. Can we do this? Can you promise me y'all could be able to put it on the ballot? You always say, well, we don't know the Democrat, there's too many Republicans. But we could do it because we are the people. And we're going to do this in November. You talk about everything else. Georgia needs rent control. That's all I have to say. Be blessed, because I voted for you too. You want to pass this over, give this to them? We need rent control. We need rent control. We need rent control. And also the small business need rent control, because guess what? They're going to be moving because they can't afford the rent. That's all I have to say. Be blessed.
Thank you. Next is Alicia Kim.
Hi, my name is Alicia Kim. I'm speaking on behalf of Miriam's Law. Thousands of freed sex offenders listed on the state register are not being classified by the level of risk they pose to the public, despite being required by law, leaving the public with no way knowing how dangerous they are. This is how we lost Miriam. If SORB had the proper funding or the proper staffing, Miriam would still be here. A man like DeMarcus Brinkley wouldn't have murdered my best friend. You would think that once you're in front of your own house, you'd be safe, but that wasn't the case for Miriam. She did everything right to keep herself safe. She always looked behind her shoulders and looked out for others' safeties too. We lost Miriam because our system failed her. You're supposed to listen to us when the laws in place are not working out efficiently to create a more safe environment for everyone. Miriam's Law isn't a new concept in the United States, but with the symbols that clearly identify sex offenders, we would have another layer of protection for our community. As a flight attendant for a global airline, I have witnessed hundreds of unaccompanied minors traveling state to state, and that's just me. Imagine the other 80,000 flight attendants in the U.S. having the extra layer of security for children flying during the hectic times of summer vacation would save them from sexual assault and human trafficking. As a parent, wouldn't you feel better sending your child off into a world that didn't help predators to hide in plain sight? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Emily Kim, and you'll have 4 minutes due to yielded time.
Hello, my name is Emily. Miriam Abdullah was my best friend of 17 years. Her heart was always full and almost bursting at the seams. She had an innate ability to emphasize the emotional needs of others. She loved to live and lived to love. Miriam was more than a friend, a daughter, and a sister. To many of us, she was home. On the morning of her passing, it felt as if the weight of the world had come tumbling straight down my chest. And the months that followed ensued the prolonging trauma of having anyone I loved be violently ripped away from me again. I had questions that couldn't be answered. I had questions as to why the man who did unspeakable things to my best friend was even able to commit another atrocious act given his past record. After Miriam's passing, the paranoia ran so deep that my husband had multiple security cameras installed all around the exteriors and interior of our house. I no longer feel safe in my own house. I have reoccurring nightmares of someone watching me and entering my property to harm my family. I wake up in tears to immediately jumping out of bed to look out my windows
and checking to see if I had secured all the locks for what feels like the 100th time that day. I no longer go out in public by myself. There are more people out there like DeMarcus Brinkley. Women and children are at risk. We cannot allow this to happen to anyone else. We cannot, with good conscience, allow these sexually dangerous predators to be able to roam free without being heavily monitored. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sharice Burundel.
Good afternoon, council members, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you in support of Miriam's Law. My name is Sharice Barendale, and I've known Miriam for 7 years. Miriam was a friend of a friend, and I think this fact speaks volumes about the impact she's had on the community, and it says a lot about her remarkable ability to light up the lives of those only acquainted with her. Every single time I was around her, she made me feel like more than a friend. I felt like family. This warmness and love was a special gift that Miriam had, and it is the reason that I stand before you today in support of a legislation that could have saved her life and let her light grace the earth for much longer. Miriam's death affected me in a deeper way than I could have ever imagined. It was a blaring reminder that as a woman, I am not safe anywhere. Her death affected the mundane parts of my life too. There's a constant reminder that my guard can never be down as I order food, walk in and out of businesses, go to the grocery store, and most simply drive home after a day of work. There's always that reminder of Miriam. Miriam's Law is a step in the right direction, the one that protects the greater good of the community. As an attorney, I understand some of the reservations a few might have about ankle monitoring, but I'd like to address that really briefly. I realize the implications that ankle monitoring may present. However, I cannot rationalize the adverse effects of level 3 violent sex offenders not being subject to this level of regulation. I'm sensitive to the subject of liberty and autonomy, but when balancing the costs of an ankle monitor with some restrictions versus the cost of a life and the safety of our community, I believe there is a clear answer. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Next will be Jasmine Keith. Next will be Aaliyah Strong. Aaliyah Strong. Next will be Jimmy Pacheco.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeannie Pacheco. We're here to talk about Miriam's Law. Miriam was one of my closest friends, but she was more than that. She was a sister to us and someone who taught us what a genuine heart was. Her life was taken away by someone that had slipped through the system, which allowed him to commit a senseless crime. After he had already committed prior serious offenses against other innocent victims. With your help, it'll help close the gap that permits predators and other criminals such as DeMarcus Brinkley to escape proper legal monitoring. With the passage of Miriam's Law, we will be taking the right steps to closing this gap and to ensure that our communities are given one more level of protection and security. Miriam was a daughter, a sister, and a friend to us all. Passing Miriam's Law will benefit the community so that no other daughter, sister, mother, and friend will lose their life because there was a fail to the necessary protections in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Muna Muhammad.
Good afternoon. My name is Mona Muhammad. I am a small business owner inside of Greenbrier Mall, and I am a Southwest Atlanta native. Today, I am here to speak about the More MARTA plan that's supposed to be going on the Campbellton Road corridor. From my understanding, my introduction was earlier this year, but to my current understanding that LRT was never coming to the Campbellton Road corridor, that it was initially passed because the city wanted it to be on there, and that's why it was put on the list. That we were always going to get BRT in the plan. My more concern is with Mercy Overstreet. You introduced this to the community earlier this year, and I felt like we were being led by the blind. You gave us folders to say that the next step was to go to MARTA on a certain day that we cannot speak. Again, the blind leading the blind. Last week, MARTA also had a meeting and said that you are in agreement with the bus rapid transit system on Campbellton Road. I did send an email to you, and I'm still waiting a response on your concerns on this. Why is it that we've been advocating for something that was never going to be given to us? I don't understand this. They have stakeholders that are going on interviews telling them that they're weeding out the people that wanted the light rail transit system, that the people there are the ones that don't even ride bus rapid transit system. In the last 40 seconds, I do support the Merriam's Law because the last time I rode the bus as a teenager, I was followed home. I knew that man was going to follow me home by the way he was staring at me when I got off the train. He followed me all the way to the house because I knew my neighbors, and he was not my neighbor. He crossed the street with me, and he also was following me home. But luckily, I made it out. That there are many stories of why a bus is not well for our community because it puts a lot of people in harm. That we must adapt to the future. And this More MARTA plan, there's a lot of money going on. And you guys need to look into it because they're not planning adequately. They're not putting the funds in the right place. And I do hope that we can talk more about this in this week. So you guys, I hope you guys enjoy your week.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Asia Morgan. And due to yielded time, you'll have 4 minutes.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Asia Morgan, as I was introduced, and I'm here to represent myself, the Abdurab family, and the rest of Miriam's friends with a different perspective. Initially, I'd like to kind of go through a quick overview of the history of SORB, the Sex Offender Registration and Review Board. It was implemented in 1996 and then amended in 2006. However, since its implementation, it has been severely underfunded and understaffed, which created a backlog of thousands of registered sex offenders that have not received an appropriate leveling to date. That includes the list of registered sex offenders moving here from other states because they perceive our laws to be more lenient, especially in the wake of a 2019 holding. The Supreme Court, in a case called Parks, ruled that it would be unconstitutional for a sex offender to be on GPS or ankle monitoring past the sentencing provided by the judge. However, the last paragraph of that opinion states, and I quote, "Our decision today does not foreclose the possibility that the General Assembly could, at least prospectively, authorize or require the worst sexual offenders to be subjected to GPS monitoring for life as a condition of the sentence." That loophole is why we're here today. That opening that was left by the Georgia Supreme Court is what we want Merriam's Law to fix in regards to monitoring sex offenders, reallocating funds and sources to keep track and better aid our law enforcement officers who can't physically be present with sex offenders day in, day out, every hour of every day. This law, the GPS requirement, would help aid the community at large and those most subjected to being victim of violent crimes. Some of my colleagues who spoke earlier touched on the background of DeMarcus Brinkley, the man awaiting trial accused of murdering Miriam Abdurab. But what they did not mention, which they may not be privy to, is the 2015 transcript from his sentencing. Within that transcript, it contains information from social workers relating to his discharge summary from a youth sex offender treatment facility. While DeMarcus Brinkley was housed at Twin Cedars, and I quote from his discharge summary, he was being treated for sexual aggression, boundary issues, minimum familial support, depression, and a multitude of other social issues. We knew this about him from the age of 13 and 14. 10 years later, he kidnapped and murdered Miriam. The discharge summary from the social work that was written into the transcript also stated that if left unsupervised, Brinkley had a high risk of reoffending. That phrase was repeated in that transcript multiple times. We've known for about 10 years that he exhibited certain sexual predilections and violent natures, but our system let him slip through the cracks by never assigning him a level of offense. Should be 30 days before they get out of prison. It was never done. To this date, it probably won't be done because it's moot. He'll be in jail. That is at least our hope. So in conclusion, we would like you guys to consider passing Miriam's Law forward to the General Assembly in hopes of honoring Miriam, but also protecting the constituents of this city and this state in a progressive way. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Ali Abdurrab. Due to yielded time, you'll have 10 minutes.
Good afternoon, council members. To start off, I want to touch on genuine concerns that we've been hearing over the last week, that Miriam's Law could potentially be used as a tool of oppression and could negatively affect the lives of minors, sex workers, and the homeless. I want to point out that in Georgia, minors and misdemeanor convictions are exempt from the sex offender registration status. As this law moves forward, we will make sure that this law will only do what it is intended to do, which is to help with the backlog problem and protect everyone from violent repeat offenders or sex offenders. So last time we were here, there was a pastor that was a part of the public comment, and he said something that stuck with me ever since. And what he said was, hurt people hurt people. So in DeMarcus Brinkley's past court documents, it shows that he's diagnosed with schizophrenia. And my colleague Asia has mentioned other things that he was dealing with at a young age. Also, there's a journalist from the AJC that quoted his mother that said that after DeMarcus was released, he stopped taking his medication for his schizophrenia. I'm not mentioning all this to excuse his behavior for murdering my sister, but more so mentioning it to highlight the mental health issue that contributed to Miriam's murder. So I have a lot of time, but I kind of want to talk about how this affected my family, especially my parents. I want to touch on how this loss of Miriam has affected, especially my parents. To give a background of both my mother and father, they are immigrants that came to this country looking for an opportunity to better their lives and eventually the lives of the family they have now. I don't think they ever thought that they would lose their own daughter in the way that they did. I believe they came to this country expecting safety for their kids, and it really hurts thinking about how they think every day that they could have done something to prevent it, when the truth is the system has failed them. So my parents are good people. They've always done the right thing, whether that's following the country's laws or looking out for others when the opportunity has presented itself. They don't deserve the pain they feel every waking moment of their day, and neither do the parents of other potential victims. So that's also why we are pushing Miriam's Law. We don't want this to affect anyone else, any other families, parents, siblings. After my sister was murdered by DeMarcus Brinkley, all my parents can do is blame themselves. No matter how many times I try to convince them otherwise, I guess it's what parents do. They always find a way to blame themselves, and they think that they could have done something better. But in truth, they did the best they could. I try to tell them, even today, that they did everything they could for her. For her. I just want to note that it's unfortunate that tragedies have to occur for change to become a conversation. The people in this country are slowly coming to a realization that we cannot just rely on our leaders to make the right decisions for us. It's becoming more of a thing where people in the community have to come up and talk and explain their reasoning for a difference to be made and for a change to actually happen. So I just want to say that Miriam's Law is really the beginning of what our group is trying to accomplish. I want this to even inspire others that we can all work towards that difference together and see it happen. I know I got a lot more time, but that's really all I have to say. And I thank you for your time, council members, and hope to see your support for Miriam's Law.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Rula Abrama. I'm sorry if I can't read your handwriting. Rula Abrama. Next then will be Devin Barrington Ward. Due to yielded time, 4 minutes.
Good afternoon. Warning comes before destruction. The people that come here and stand at this podium, they are warning you that if you don't do what they're asking them to do, the city will be destroyed. Communities will be destroyed. Families will be destroyed. More people will die. More people will be displaced. More people will not have the services that they need. Heed. That warning comes before destruction. I think it's ironic that we're in here after the 4th of July holiday. I know many of you all may see that at times when we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I do not stand. And the reason I don't stand is because this country has not been redeemed from its violence, its violent past that has founded this country. And because of that, that is why we experience so much death and destruction across the country and in this city. Just this weekend, we had another mass shooting. Yes, it was in Illinois, but it could have easily been here in Georgia. But we also saw a mass shooter who was white be able to be arrested, to see his day in court. But we saw a young black man, Jayland Walker, whose only violation was a traffic stop, who was shot 60 times. And we can say, oh, that's not Atlanta, but talk to the mother of Jamarian Robinson, whose son was also gunned down in a very vicious manner by our local law enforcement here. Warning comes before destruction. Will you all hear the warning of the people? Will you listen? Will you make actions? Will you do something differently? Will you put your egos aside, your campaign promises to those of the folks who are not in this room? Because they don't have to come in here and beg y'all to do things. The developers, they don't come in here and beg at the podium for you to do things. They just make checks and they write and they make phone calls and they have meetings at fancy restaurants. But those of us who don't have that type of privilege, we have to come down here and warn you that destruction is coming. And it's coming in the form of mass incarceration. It's coming in the form of this housing crisis. It's coming in the form of mental health. It's coming in the form of inflation. It's coming in the form of my neighbors whose backs are against the wall. It's coming in the form of mass incarceration because over the last 3 to almost 4 years, many of my colleagues and I have come down here and have begged and pleaded to reimagine an empty city detention center so that it can do things like mental health services, because in Fulton County, in the city of Atlanta, we have no drop-in, low-barrier mental health crisis center. And when we don't have those things, people like Miriam die. When we don't have the services needed, young men don't get the support that's needed, and they go on to become the murderers of people like Miriam. Warning comes before destruction. I am appreciative that John Lewis's family gave us the green light and the blessing to rename the Atlanta City Detention Center into the John Lewis Center for Wellness, Equity, and Freedom. This is an opportunity for Atlanta to influence the nation, because we do say Atlanta influences everything. And as this country is seeking redemption, as the people in this country are seeking redemption so that the plight of violence no longer continues, I beg of you, I plead with you, but I also demand that you all do the right thing so that we can influence this country the right way, so that we can end mass incarceration, so that we can stop this housing crisis, so that we can prioritize public safety, so that people like Miriam don't have to die. Close the Atlanta City Detention Center. Reimagine it. Name it after John Lewis. Let's not do things just because it feels good anymore, but let's do it because it's the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody from the public who have provided remarks today. We just note that often these remarks are personal and important, and I appreciate them very much. Next, Mr. Clerk, we'll move to the report of the journal.
I, Forrest Webb III, Municipal Clerk, do certify that the action minutes of the June 21st, 2022 regular council meeting and the June 29th, 2022 special call meeting are true and correct.
I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes. Moved by Bakhtiari, seconded by Juan. Any discussion of the motion to adopt minutes? Without objection, we'll do this via unanimous consent. Any objection? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the count on unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent of members present is 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes are adopted. And now we move to communications. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, if I could sound items 1 through 3 as a block.
Without objection.
22-C-5112, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman reappointing Mr. Desmond Johnson to serve as a member of the Atlanta Urban Design Commission in the Architect 2 category. This appointment is for a term of 3 years to begin retroactively November 19th, 2021 and expire November 18th, 2024. 22-C-5113, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman reappointing Mr. David Marvin to serve as a member of the Downtown Atlanta Improvement District CID. This appointment is for a term of 4 years to begin retroactively June 16th, 2022 and expire June 15th, 2026. 22-C-5114, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Ms. Amy Nerf to serve as a member of the Buckhead Community Improvement District, CID. This appointment is for a term of 4 years. Staff recommendation to refer to Community Development, Human Services Committee, and Committee on Council.
Let all three items follow that course.
22-C-5115, a communication from Council members Dustin Hillis, Andrea L. Boone, Keisha Shawn Waits, reappointing Mr. Michael Hopkins to serve as a member of the Water and Sewer Appeals Board. This appointment is for a term of 3 years to begin retroactively September 5th, 2020 and expire September 4th, 2023. Staff recommendation to refer to City Utilities Committee and Committee on Council.
Let it follow that course.
If I could sound items 5 through 6 as a block.
Without objection.
22-C-5116, a communication from Council members Dustin Hillis, District 9, Andrea L. Boone, District 10, Marcy Collier Overstreet, District 11, Antonio Lewis, District 12, and Keisha Shawn Waits, Post 3 at Large, appointing Mr. Kevin Marshall to serve as a member of the Human Relations Commission. This appointment is for a term of 3 years. 22-C-5117, a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Mr. Felipe Denbrock to serve as a member of the Fulton County Board of Health on behalf of the City of Atlanta. Staff recommendation to refer to Committee on Council.
Let both items follow that course.
22-C-5118, a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Mr. Jadep Majadar to serve as the Chief Procurement Officer for the City of Atlanta. Staff recommendation to refer to Finance Executive Committee and Committee on Council.
Let it follow that course.
If I can sound items 8 through 12 as a block.
Without objection.
22-C-5119, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Ms. Danielle Russell to serve as a member of the task force to provide safer environment for occupants living in apartments, complexes, and other leasing communities in the City of Atlanta. 22-C-5120, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Ms. Mala Sharma to serve as a member of the Atlanta Music Festival Committee. This appointment is for a term of 2 years. 22-C-5121, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Council Member Jason Dozier to serve as a member of the Downtown Atlanta Community Improvement District. CID, this appointment is for a term of 4 years. 22-C-5122, a communication from Council members Dustin Hillis, District 9, Andrea L. Boone, District 10, Marcy Collier Overstreet, District 11, Antonio Lewis, District 12, and Keisha Shawn Waits, Post 3 at Large, appointing Ms. Erica Thomas to serve as a member of the Task Force for the Promotion of Entertainment and Culture. 22-C-5123, a communication from Chief Procurement Officer Martin Clark, submitting the June 13th, 2022 through June 17th, 2022 weekly contracts report to the Atlanta City Council and the Clerk of Council pursuant to Section 2-1142 of the Atlanta City Code of Ordinances. Staff recommendation to accept and file.
Let all those items follow that course. Any other communications?
That concludes my report.
Are there any items for vetoed legislation?
There are none, Mr. President.
Thank you. Are there any unfinished items?
There is one item, 22-0-1280. Councilmember Shook made a motion to postpone 22-0-1280 during the scheduled meeting held on June 21st, 2022. It was seconded by Councilmember Boone, and the motion carried by a roll call vote of 13 yeas, 0 nays.
I would now entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Mr. Shook and seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. The motion is to adopt 22-0-1280. Mr. Clerk, does it need to be sounded again?
It does. An ordinance, apologies. An ordinance by Councilmember Dustin Hillis as substituted by the City Utilities Committee to amend Charter Section adopted under the Virtue of the authority of the Municipal Home Rule Act 1965, OCGA, Section 36-35-1 et sec, as amended, and amending Section 1-102 of the Article and Section 6-101 of Article 6, both of Part 1, Subpart A, to amend the authority of the city to charge and collect taxes and assessments for sanitary and solid waste disposal services, and to establish the collection rates and charges for the same, to authorize the adoption of the administrative procedure for the resolution of disputes regarding the basis of a sanitary and solid waste tax or assessment against a property and for other purposes.
Thank you. Since this is a charter change, it's had to go through the process of 3 readings. So now we have a motion to adopt on the table, 22-0-1280. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt 22-0-1280.
The vote is now open. Will everyone please vote? Please vote. The vote is now closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays. 13 yeas, 0 nays. Just because it's virtual, I just want to make sure, Councilmember Norwood, do you want your vote recorded? She may step away. All right, 13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt passes. We'll now move to the consent agenda. It begins on page 6. This is section 1 of the consent agenda. These are items for second reading. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
My vote is not showing.
Oh. Sorry, Councilman Norwood?
The vote is now closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. Just because this is virtual, I just want to make sure, Councilmember Norwood, do you want your vote recorded?
Yes, please.
13 yeas, 0 nays. So the motion to adopt passes. Mr. Clerk, could you please reflect an aye for Councilmember Norwood on the last motion to adopt?
Duly noted, that will be reflected and populated as 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries. Let's get the microphone set here so we don't have to hear our playback. Council members, are there any items to be removed from section 1 of the consent agenda? Councilmember Westmoreland.
Thank you, Mr. President. One item is 22-0-1147. It's item number 1 on page 6.
Noted. 22-0-1147 will be removed. Any other items? Councilmember Norwood?
My voting is not recording.
Okay, we noted your vote on the motion to adopt, and I will call on you for each vote as we proceed.
Okay, as soon as it gets back up, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Any other items to be removed from the consent agenda? Section 1. Councilmember Waits.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think given that the family is present today, I'd like to have Miriam's Law heard separately, please.
I'm sorry, say that one more time?
Yes, I'd like to have Miriam's Law separately heard from the consent agenda.
Okay, which items could you point us to where that is?
We're looking at it now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, it's item number 17 on page.
Yes, thank you. Page 17, 22-R-3852. We'll remove that from the consent agenda. Thank you. Any other items? All right. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda, section 1, with the 2 removals. Moved by Councilmember Juan. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Overstreet. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda, section 1, minus the 2 items that have been removed? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt the consent agenda, section 1, with the 2 items as noted removed.
Please hold. The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. Yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt the consent agenda, section 1, carries. We'll now move to the consent agenda, section 2, which begins on page 36. These are all items for first reading, so the proper motion will be the motion to refer all of these items as noted. Are there any items that should be removed from the consent agenda, section 2? It's been removed to refer by Councilmember Juan. Is there a second? Seconded by, who was that? Councilmember Shook. So there's been a motion to refer and seconded items in the consent agenda, section 2. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer section 2 of the consent agenda carries. Councilmember Waits.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to consider the next piece of legislation for Miriam's Law. Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion to amend the agenda from Councilmember Waits to consider next 22-R-3852. That's been seconded by Councilmember Juan. We can do this via unanimous consent. Is there any objection to amending the agenda for that immediate consideration as the next item? Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please sound the count of unanimous consent on the motion to amend the agenda.
Unanimous consent of members present is 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to amend the agenda carries. So we'll now move to consideration of 22-R-3852. I'll ask Chair Juan, since this came through Finance Committee, to please outline the paper.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. It's 22R3852, item number 17 on page 17. A resolution by council members Waits, Bakhtiari, Boone, Dozier, Winston, Amos, Bond, Overstreet, Hillis, Lewis, Shook, and Wan, as amended by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee and as amended by Finance Executive Committee, urging the Georgia General Assembly to amend Article 2, Chapter 1 of Title 42 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated ORCGA, regarding the Sexual Offender Registration Review Board to adopt Merriam's Law, which expands the requirements for individuals currently on the sex offender registry to better protect the citizens of Georgia and for other purposes. This came out favorable as amended by Public Safety and Legal Administration and Finance Exec, so the motion is to adopt as amended.
There's a motion to adopt coming out of committee. It doesn't need a second, 22-R-3852. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Councilman Waits.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to thank all of our colleagues for their support on this particular piece of legislation. I think we all understand the significance and the emotional dynamics attached. I also wanted to take a moment to thank Ali, Miriam's family and friends for their resilience and perseverance in advocating to change the laws at the state level. And for that reason, it is my belief that Miriam will be forever memorialized in our hearts. And I thank you for coming out today.
Is there any other discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. Mr. President, may I populate the vote?
Mr. Clerk, please record Councilmember Lewis's vote as an aye.
Duly noted. Populating votes. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt 22-R-3852 carries. We will now move to the report of standing committees. Vice Chair Westmoreland will be first. Community Development, Human Services.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we have a rather lengthy committee report today. I apologize. And we are going to start with a public hearing, and so I will make a motion to go into the public hearing.
Actually, I'd entertain a motion to move into Committee of the Whole.
I'll make a motion to go into Committee of the Whole.
There's a motion to move into Committee of the Whole. There's a second by Councilmember Dozier. Is there any discussion on the motion to move in Committee of the Whole? Is without objection, we'll do this via unanimous consent. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to move in Committee of the Whole.
Unanimous consent of members present is 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move into Committee of the Whole carries.
I will now make a motion to go into a public hearing.
It's a motion by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Wan, to move into a public hearing. Is there any discussion on the motion? Without objection, we do this via unanimous consent. Any objection to moving into a public hearing? Mr. Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to move into a public hearing.
Unanimous consent of members present. Is 14 yeas, 0 nays, 1 member virtual, Councilmember Norwood.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move into a public hearing carries.
All right, colleagues, we have one item for today's public hearing. It is 22-0-1455, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier as substituted by the Community Development Human Services Committee, authorizing the amendment of the 2021 Annual Action Plan to accept an additional award of American Rescue Plan funds made available to the city through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Home ARP grant to assist individuals or households who are homeless, at risk of homelessness, and other vulnerable populations by providing housing, rental assistance, supportive services, and non-congregate shelter to reduce homelessness and increase housing stability, and to amend the Home Investment Partnerships Program Fund budget by participating and appropriating $7,991,553.00 and authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to substantially amend the city's 2020 to 2024 consolidated plan to fund various projects and enter into agreements with project sponsors to provide tenant-based rental assistance, supportive services, acquisition, and rehabilitation using home ARP funds and for other purposes. We have two members who signed up to speak for public comment on this public hearing, and the first is Alma Lott. I do not see Ms. Lott. The second is Margie McLeod. And I do not see Ms. McLeod. So if neither Ms. Lott or Ms. McLeod are here, I will make a motion to exit the public hearing.
A motion by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Juan to exit the public hearing. Is there any discussion on the motion to exit the public hearing? Without objection, we'll move this via unanimous consent. Any objection? Councilman Lewis? Oh. Thank you, Councilman Lewis. I will hold that motion then and allow them the opportunity to speak.
Ms. Lott, the floor is yours.
I'm speaking again on behalf of those. Y'all need to really look at this and let's try to get something passed and work together as, as a union. I mean, say somebody need an army behind them. And I think this thing that he's trying to pass and go through, they're going to help some of the people. Hopefully, because we got so many homeless. And it really hurts. I mean, it really, really hurts. I wasn't mad no more, now I'm angry. And it's just time that truth be told. And people are tired of fake news and all this, that we done did this and we did that, when it's not happening. Where's this money? Where's the money at the house to people? That's the only thing I want to know. Can the city come together? Can all these councilors come together and try to fix this? And stop passing money through these little small organizations in our communities. And come together and bring the people back together. Because we are real divided now. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second and final speaker is Ms. McLeod. Ms. McLeod, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. We really need this because the homeless, this money need to be placed in the right place. And those, I trust you. Because I didn't trust you, people know me, I'll call you out. And that's why we need this money for the homeless to stop the people to get the right assistance. Because sometimes it go in hands and we don't know where this money went at. It's long overdue, the Rescue Plan Act. Okay, thank you. Make sure this money be sent to the people that need it. It's been long overdue.
Thank you. Mr. President, those were our 2 public speakers, and I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing, seconded by Mr. Lewis. Is there any discussion on the motion to move out of the public hearing? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, please sound the count of unanimous consent on the motion to move out of the public hearing.
Unanimous consent is 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion carries.
Do we make a motion to come out of committee of the whole?
Been a motion to come out of committee of the whole. It's seconded by Councilmember Juan. Is there any discussion on the motion to move out of committee of the whole? Hearing none, we can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the motion? Mr. Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to come out of committee of the whole.
Unanimous consent is 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to come out of committee of the whole carries. We're back in regular session.
Thank you. This item, colleagues, came to us forward with no recommendation for the requisite public hearing. I will make a motion to adopt.
Who made the second? Councilmember Lewis. There's been a motion to adopt 22-0-1455 by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Lewis. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt 22-0-1455.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
I'll make a motion to send this to the mayor's office post haste.
Been a motion by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Lewis, to move this post haste to the mayor's office. Any discussion on the motion? Without objection, we'll do this via unanimous consent. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, please sound the count on the motion to move post haste.
The vote is open.
Sorry, this is via unanimous consent. Please sound the count on unanimous consent. My apologies.
Duly noted. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move post haste carries.
Item number 2, 22-0-1421, an ordinance by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the city of Atlanta to enter into amendment number 3 of the amended and restated agreement EA-S-1210051, programs to care for homeless populations with Partners for Home, Inc. on behalf of the executive offices to extend the term through June 30th, 2024, to add funding for continued care of homeless residents of the city to be funded by the U.S. Department of Treasury American Rescue Plan funds in an amount not to exceed $6,200,000.00, and to modify the agreement to reflect terms required for use of the American Rescue Plan funds and for other purposes. This item came favorable on condition that the proper count strings needed to be added. I will make a motion to substitute.
There's been a motion to substitute by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Can you sound the substitute? Councilmember Westmoreland, you want to sound the substitute?
The caption is unchanged.
Oh, caption's unchanged. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion to substitute? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to substitute.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to bring forth substitute carries.
Make a motion to adopt on substitute.
There's been a motion to adopt by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari, 22-0-1421 as substituted. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt as substituted.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed.
Councilmember Waits, how would you like your vote reflected? Aye. Please reflect Councilmember Waits as an aye.
Reflecting vote, 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Make a motion to move to the mayor's office post haste.
There's been a motion by Councilmember Westmoreland to move post haste, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there any discussion on the motion to move post haste? We'll do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, please sound the count on the motion to move post haste. Unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent is 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move post haste carries.
Next item, 22-0-1433, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 790, 804, 830, 840, 860, and 880 Woodrow Street, and 806, 810, and 820 Warner Street Southwest from the industrial land designation to the mixed-use, medium-density land use designation and for other purposes. This item comes to us favorable, 5 yeses, 0 noes, 1 abstention. I'll make a motion to adopt.
There's a motion to adopt coming out of committee. It doesn't need a second. 22-0-1433. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Councilmember Lewis.
Please let me know next time it doesn't need a second.
Any other discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt 22-0-1433.
The vote is open. The vote is now closed. Fourteen yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. Councilmember Bond, how would you like your vote reflected? Aye. Please reflect Councilmember Bond as aye.
Reflecting vote, 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Next item, 22-0-1450, an ordinance by Councilmember Matt Westmoreland authorizing the City of Atlanta to donate American Rescue Plan Act funds to the Urban League of Greater Atlanta pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter in an amount not to exceed $1 million and 0 cents in order to administer grants to youth-serving nonprofit organizations to increase capacity to serve students disproportionately impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and for other purposes. This item came favorable on condition that the necessary account strings needed to be added in a substitute, which I will now make a motion to bring forward.
There's a motion to bring forward a substitute by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Wan. Does it need to be sounded? Just the same?
It does not. The caption is unchanged.
Thank you. Caption's unchanged. Any discussion on the motion to substitute? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to substitute.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to substitute carries.
I'll make a motion to adopt on substitute.
There's been a motion to adopt 22-0-1450 as substituted by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt 22-0-1450 as substituted.
Please hold. The vote is now open. The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Make a motion to send it to the mayor's office post haste.
There's been a motion by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari to move 22-0-1450 post haste to the mayor's office. Any discussion on the motion? We can adopt this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent to move post haste.
Unanimous consent of members present is 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move post haste carries.
Two more, they'll go quickest. 22-0-1489, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 90 and 98 Whiteford Avenue Northeast from the low-density residential 0 to 8 units per acre land use designation to the medium density residential land use designation and for other purposes. Motion to file.
Was that the motion coming out of committee?
5-0.
Okay. So the motion to file coming out of committee, it does not need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to file? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file 22-0-1489.
Please hold. Please continue to hold. The vote is now open. Will everyone please vote? Please vote. The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to file carries.
Last one. We removed an item from the consent agenda earlier. It was item 22-0-1147, an ordinance by the Community Development and Human Services Committee to amend the land use designate element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 4336 Cascade Road Southwest from the single-family residential land use designation to the medium-density residential land use designation and for other purposes. We need to refer this back to CDHS so it can travel with its zoning companion paper, and I will make a motion to refer.
The motion to refer by Councilmember Westmoreland, seconded by Councilmember Overstreet. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer 22-0-1147 to CDHS? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Please vote. The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Thus endeth the CDHS report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to report of the Transportation Committee. Chair Farokhi.
Thank you, President Schumer. We have one item today, 22R3859. It's item 1 on page 45. It's a resolution by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari requesting MARTA to require developers to provide bus shelters that are along bus routes of all new commercial and multifamily residential development within the city of Atlanta and for other purposes. We will be filing this today. That's correct, yeah.
So there's a motion coming out of committee. It doesn't need a second to file 22-R-3859. Is there any discussion on the motion to file? Councilmember Bakhtiari.
We believe that we found a way to do this through zoning, so we're just filing this, and we'll be bringing forth another paper that can actually accomplish what this paper is sought to accomplish. So thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion to file? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file 22-R-3859.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to file carries.
That's all.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to Finance Exec, Chair 1.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, if you'll turn to page 47. Mr. President, if I can, I'd like to take items 1 and 2 together.
Without objection, please proceed.
All right, item 22-01477, an ordinance by Councilmember Mary Norwood authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $5,000.00 from the Council District 8 distribution account to the Chastain Park Conservancy and for other purposes. And 22-01478, an ordinance by Councilmember Mary Norwood authorizing the transfer of $5,000.00 from the Council District 8 expense account to the Council District 8 distribution account to continue serving the Atlanta community for the public good and for other purposes. Motion from the committee on both items is to file.
Motion to file 22-0-1477 and 22-0-1478 comes out of committee. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to file these 2 items? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file these 2 items.
The vote is open. Please vote. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to file carries.
Next item, 22-R3965, an amended resolution by the Finance Executive Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into renewal number 2 with Tyler Technologies, Inc. for FC 9334 business license and cashier management system for a term effective July 31st, 2022 through July 30, 2023 in an amount not to exceed $515,562.85. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. Motion for the committee is to adopt as amended.
The motion coming out of committee to adopt, there's no second required. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt 22-R-3965.
Please hold. The vote is now open. The vote is now closed. 14 yeas, 1 nay.
14 yeas, 1 nay. The motion to adopt carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chair 1. Next, we'll move to the Committee on Council, Chair Boone.
Good afternoon. Please turn to your agenda for the report of the Standing Committee of Committee on Council. Council President, may I sound items 1 through 4? These communications were found favorable in today's meeting.
Without objection, please proceed.
Item 1, 22-C-5082, a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Mr. Douglas Hooker to serve as a member of the Atlanta Housing Authority Board of Commissioners for the City of Atlanta. This appointment is for a term of 5 years. Item 2, 22-C-5088, a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Mr. Jerry Gray to serve as a member of the License Review Board. This appointment is for a term of 2 years. Item 3, 22-C-5089, a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Ms. Lisa Morshower to serve as a member of the Alcohol Technical Advisory Group, ATAG 3. Item 4, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Mr. Jeffrey Martin to serve on the Atlanta Beltline Tax Allocation District TAD Advisory Committee. This appointment is for a term of 2 years. These items were found favorable. Motion to adopt.
The motion to adopt these 4 items coming out of committee, they don't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt these 4 items? Since these are communications, we can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the motion to adopt? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to adopt these 4 items.
Unanimous consent of members present is 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Mr. President, may I sound items 5 and 6 together? These council appointments were favorable.
Without objection, please proceed.
Item 5, 22-R-3968, a resolution by Committee on Council appointing Ms. Rebecca Brubaker, the nominee of the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, to serve on the governing board of the Office of the Inspector General for a term of 3 years to begin on the date of approval of this appointment and for other purposes. Item 6, 22-R-3970, a resolution by Committee on Council appointing Ms. Nicola Hines, the nominee of the Atlanta Fulton County League of Women Voters, to serve on the governing board of the Office of the Inspector General for a term of 3 years to begin on the date of approval of this appointment and for other purposes. Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt coming out of committee. It doesn't need a second. These 2 items. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt 22-R-3968 and 22-R-3970.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Please vote. The vote is now closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I sound items 7 through 9 together? These items were referred to CDHS committee.
Without objection, please proceed.
Item 7, 22-R-3971, a resolution by Committee on Council reappointing Ms. Malloy Peterson to the City of Atlanta Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee as one of the 3 members appointed by the Atlanta City Council for a term of 2 years, said term to begin upon approval of this resolution and for other purposes. Item number 8, 22-R-3972, a resolution by Committee on Council appointing Mr. Mitchell Shelby to the City of Atlanta Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee as one of the 3 members appointed by the Atlanta City Council for a term of 2 years, said term to begin upon approval of this resolution and for other purposes. Item number 9, a resolution by Committee on Council appointing Mr. Zach Gober to the City of Atlanta Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee as one of the 3 members appointed by the Atlanta City Council for a term of 2 years, said term to begin upon approval of this resolution and for other purposes. Motion to refer these items to CDHS.
Was the motion coming out of committee, correct?
Yes.
Yes, so there's a motion to refer these three items. Doesn't need a second coming out of committee. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer 22-R-3971, 22-R-3972, and 22-R-3973 to CDHS.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Mr. President, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Chair Boone. Next, we'll move to Zoning Committee, Chair Overstreet.
Thank you, President Shipman. So this is the Zoning Committee report. Please turn your agendas to page 53. We'll start with ordinance for second read. I would like to take items 1 through 7 as a block.
Without objection, please proceed.
Thank you. Number 1, 22-0-1017, case number Z-22-08. The location is Greenbrier Special Public Interest District. The ordinance is to amend the regulations of SPI 20, Greenbrier Special Public Interest District, by amending regulations to align with the Campbellton Road Corridor Plan and the reimagined Greenbrier Plan. Number 2, 22-0-1019, zoning case number Z-22-07. It's a text amendment to the Land Development Code. The ordinance is to amend the 1982 City of Atlanta zoning ordinance as amended, so as to create the Chapter 43 Campbellton Road overlay. Number 3, legislation number 22-0-1262, zoning case number Z-21-114. Location 1498, 1500, 1504 Murphy Avenue Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from I-1 in light industrial to CIC, Community Business District Conditional. Number 4, 22-0-1378, zoning case number Z-22-22, location 2011 and 2015 Memorial Drive Southeast. The ordinance is to rezone from R4 single family residential to MR3C multifamily residential conditional. Number 5, 22-0-1379, zoning case number Z-22-17, location 1058, 1078, 1098, and 1108 and 1120 Moreland Avenue Southeast. The ordinance is to rezone from MRC1C residential commercial conditional to MRC2 mixed residential commercial. Number 6, 22-0-1381, Z-22-19, location is 10 Blackland Road Northwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R3 single family residential to C1 Community Business District to OIC actually, Office Institutional Conditional. Number 7, 22-0-1442, zoning case number Z-21-104, 2387 Summit Avenue Northwest, and 1103, 1107, and 1111 First Street Northwest is the location. The ordinance is to rezone from R4A single family residential to PDH, Planning Development Housing. 1 through 7 were favorable as amended, so the motion to adopt as amended.
There's a motion to adopt items 1 through 7. It doesn't need a second coming out of committee. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt these 7 items? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt these 7 items.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Thank you. Moving on to number 8. Legislation number 22-0-1130, zoning case number Z-22-05, location 806, 810, 820 Warner Street North Southwest and 840 Woodruff Street Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from I-1CBL, light industrial conditional beltline overlay, to MRC2CBL, mixed residential commercial conditional beltline overlay. Item number 8 was favorable on substitute, so the motion is to adopt as substituted.
There's a motion to adopt as substituted coming out of committee. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt as substitute 22-0-1130.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
Thank you. I would like to take items 9 and 10 as a block.
Without objection, please proceed.
Thank you. Number 9, legislative number 22-0-1319, zoning case number Z-22-18, location 90 and 98 Whitefoot Avenue. The ordinance is to rezone from R5 to family residential to MRMU, multifamily residential multi-unit. Number 10, 22-0-1376, zoning case number Z-20-50, location 365 Lyndhurst Drive Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R3 single family residential to RG3 residential general sector 3. The recommendation of the committee was to file items 9 and 10, so the motion is to file.
Motion to file coming out of committee doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to file these two items? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file these two items.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to file the two items carries.
Thank you. And finally, our first read. There's only one item for first read. Number 11, legislative number 22-0-1527, zoning case number Z-22-45, location 3460 and 3470 Cascade Road Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from C1 Community Business District to R4 and R4 Single Family Residential to MRC2 Mixed Residential Commercial and OI Office Institutional. The motion is to refer to ZRB and Zoning Committee.
There's a motion to refer 22-0-1527 by Councilmember Overstreet to ZRB and Zoning. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Any discussion on the motion to refer? Mr. Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. Please vote. Will everyone please vote? Will everyone please vote? The vote is now closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Mr. President, that concludes the Zoning Committee.
Thank you, Chair Overstreet. Next will be Public Safety and Legal Administration. Chair Hillis.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a communication and one announcement. First item, communication, be found on page 59 is 22C 5075. Communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointed Mr. Jerry Gray to serve as a member of the Alcohol Technical Advisory Group 3, ATAG 3. The motion of the committee is to file.
Motion coming out of committee doesn't need a second, is to file 22-C-5075. Any discussion on the motion to file? Since it's a communication, we do it via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the motion to file? Mr. Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to file.
Unanimous consent of members present is 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to file carries.
Announcement is that the Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee will hold a work session on Ordinance 22-0-1356, which amends the Nuisance Code, Chapter 74, Article 5, Section 74-175. That work session on the Nuisance Code will be held tomorrow, July 6th at 10 a.m. in Committee Room 1, right here on the second floor of City Hall. Again, Nuisance Code work session on 22-0-1356. That is tomorrow, Wednesday, July 6th at 10 a.m. in Committee Room 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Hillis. Finally today, City Utilities, Chair Shook.
No report, thank you.
No report. So now we'll move to personal papers and items for immediate consideration. Give us just a moment so we can get a list of the papers for today. All right, first we'll move to items for immediate consideration. Councilmember Shook.
All right, thank you. This is ELMS ID number 30344, resolution by members Shook, Waits, and Hillis, and more upon request. This establishes an Atlanta Police Department retention incentive payment for fiscal years 2023, FY23, to provide that the FY23 APD retention incentive payment shall be for the purpose of retaining sworn officers of the Atlanta City Police Department and for other purposes, whereas as a result of the current competitiveness of the labor market in the metro Atlanta area and nationally, both generally and specifically for sworn law enforcement officers, the City of Atlanta Police Department is currently facing continuing challenges to recruit and retain sworn officers, whereas 060-2700, which was adopted March 19th of 2007 and approved by the mayor March 27th of 07, City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances was amended to provide that sworn officers would be eligible for a $3,000 retention incentive payment on their 5th anniversary as a sworn officer, whereas in 2021, due to the desire of the Atlanta City Council to provide Sworn employees of the Atlanta Police Department enrolled in the defined benefit hybrid plan and who are in good standing a retention bonus for the purpose of retaining such officers after they vested in a portion of their retirement benefits. The Atlanta City Council adopted 21-00016, which was approved April 28th of 2021, and established a retention payment to be payable in fiscal year FY22 only. Whereas at this time, due to the continuing challenges to recruit and retain sworn officers currently experienced by the Atlanta Police Department, it is the desire of the Atlanta City Council to authorize a retention payment to sworn officers of all service tenures payable in fiscal year 2023 only, and in accordance with the terms described in this resolution. Now, therefore, the City Council of Atlanta hereby resolves that the City of Atlanta is hereby authorized to accept retention agreements executed by sworn employees of APD and all service tenures pursuant to which such employees shall agree to remain employed as a sworn Atlanta police officer for an additional 18 months following the execution thereof. Be it further resolved that in consideration for the executed agreement authorized hereby, the CFO is authorized to provide sworn employees of the Atlanta Police Department holding on the date of the resolution, on the date of the approval of this resolution, the rank of officer, investigator, sergeant, or lieutenant, a retention bonus payment in the amount of $4,000. Be it further resolved that in consideration for the executed agreements authorized hereby, the CFO is authorized to provide sworn employees of the Atlanta Police Department holding on the date of the approval of the resolution the rank of captain, major, deputy chief, assistant chief, or chief of police, a retention bonus incentive payment in the amount of $1,000. Be it further resolved that a sworn employee of the Atlanta Police Department who has received a retention incentive payment pursuant to this resolution and voluntarily or involuntarily leaves the employment of the police department prior to the completion of 18 months following the execution of this agreement, executed in accordance herewith, shall be responsible for repayment outlined as follows. A, where the sworn Atlanta Police Department employee shall have received a retention bonus of $4,000, and one, who leaves the department who leaves within the first 6 months after the date of the agreement shall repay $4,000, or two, leaves after the first 6 months, but prior to the end of the first year after the date of the agreement shall repay $2,500, or three, leaves after the first year, but prior to the end of the 18th month after the date of agreement shall repay $1,500, or B, where the sworn Atlanta Police Department employee shall have received a retention incentive payment in the amount of $1,000, and one, leaves within the first 6 months of the date of the agreement, shall repay the $1,000, or two, leaves after the first 6 months, but prior to the end of the first year after the date of the agreement, they shall repay $650, and three, leaves after the first year, but prior to the end of the 18th month after the date of the agreement, shall repay $350. Be it further resolved that should a sworn employee of the Atlanta Police Department who has received a retention incentive payment pursuant to this resolution fail or refuse to remit the payment as set forth in this resolution, such funds may be withheld or deducted from the employee's pension refund as provided in the section listed of the related laws section of the charter in the city. Be it finally resolved that the fiscal year FY23 retention incentive payment program established pursuant to this resolution shall be effective and payable during fiscal year 2023 only. This was a budget amendment that was discussed and adopted unanimously and was part of the budget we recently approved. And this is going to help us to queue the money up to get it deployed 2 weeks sooner than it otherwise would. Anyone who wants to sign on, please let me know, but I would move approval.
Been a motion to adopt ELMS 30344, seconded by Councilmember Hillis. I see Councilmember Overstreet would like to add her name. Councilmember Boone would like to add her name. Councilmember Wan would like to add his name. Councilmember Amos would like to add his name. Councilmember Faroki would like to add his name. Councilmember Winston would like to add his name. Councilmember Lewis would like to add his name. Councilmember Dozier would like to add his name. Good. So there's a motion to adopt with those additions. It's been seconded by Councilmember Hillis. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt ELMS 30344.
The vote is open. Will all members please vote?
Councilmember Dozier would like to add his name.
Councilmember Norwood.
The vote is closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries. Please also note that Councilman Norwood would like her name added to the paper.
Duly noted.
Thank you. Next, Councilmember Bakhtiari, still in immediate consideration.
Okay. Thank you. ELMS ID number 30320, a resolution by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, Westmoreland, Shook, Waits, Amos, Faroki, Dozier, Boone, Overstreet, Hillis, can I give it? Winston. Okay, 1.
15 yeas, 0 nays. 15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries. Please also note that Councilman Norwood would like her name added to the paper. Duly noted. Yes, ma'am. Next, Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Second. Okay. Did we get all the signers on? All right. A resolution urging federal elected officials to pass legislation codifying the rights granted in the Supreme Court decisions of Griswold v. Connecticut, Loving v. Virginia, Lawrence v. Texas, and Oberfell v. Hodges, protecting the right to buy and use contraceptives, interracial marriage, same-sex relationships, and the fundamental right to marry, respectively, and for other purposes. Whereas on June 24, 2022, the United States Supreme Court announced its historic decision to reverse Roe v. Wade, declaring the constitutional right to abortion, upheld for nearly a half a century, no longer exists. And whereas in concurring with the decision, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in his opinion that striking down Roe v. Wade should also open up the High Court to review other precedents, referring to the rulings that legalize the use of contraception, same-sex relationships, and marriage equality. And whereas the rights in jeopardy were granted by cases which include Griswold v. Connecticut, decided in 1965, and ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects the liberty of married couples to buy and use contraceptives without governing restriction. Loving v. Virginia in 1967, which provided that banning interracial marriage violated the equal protection and due process clauses of the 14th Amendment. Lawrence v. Texas, decided in 2003, and barred the criminalization of consensual same-sex relationships. And Oberfell v. Hodges, which in 2015 ruled that the fundamental right to marry is guaranteed to same-sex couples by both the due process clause and the equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment. And whereas in overturning Roe v. Wade, the court essentially ruled that abortion is a matter to be decided by the states, translated to mean that legislators are completely free to ban abortions based on political whims. And whereas should the court overturn Griswold v. Connecticut, Loving v. Virginia, Lawrence v. Texas, and Oberfell v. Hodges, the right provided under the protection of the United States Constitution would be left up to the states. Whereas there are certain fundamental liberties that must be protected and not left to the whims of changing democratic majorities. And whereas we are all urged to become vigilant in the fight to protect basic rights for equal treatment under the law, which could be stripped away if we become too complacent. Now, therefore, be resolved that the City Council of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, that federal elected officials are urged to pass legislation codifying the rights granted in Griswold v. Connecticut, Loving v. Virginia, Lawrence v. Texas, and Oberfell v. Hodges, protecting the right to buy and use contraceptives, interracial marriage, same-sex relationships, and the fundamental right to marry, respectively. Be it further resolved that all members of the U.S. and U.S. House and U.S. Senate use their full power to ensure certain fundamental liberties are protected for every citizen of the United States. Be it further resolved that upon passage, the municipal clerk shall mail a copy of this resolution to all members of the United States congressional delegation from Georgia. And be it finally resolved that all resolutions and parts of resolutions in conflict herewith are waived to the extent of the conflict. Move to approve.
There's a motion to adopt, second by Councilmember Bakhtiari, seconded by Councilmember Hillis. Elms 30320. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt? Councilmember Bond. Councilmember Bond's name would like to be added to the
Councilmember
paper.
Waits? You're already added, don't worry.
Any discussion on the motion to adopt?
I feel like that was, that was, I think that's
Madam
Mary's
Deputy Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Will all members please vote? The vote is closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to adopt carries. I don't believe there are any other immediate papers for consideration. We do have a birthday among us today. Councilmember Dozier, a very happy birthday to you, and thus you get to go first today with your papers.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And because it's my birthday, I'm going to ask my colleagues to indulge me as I read off, I think, 10 or 11 papers. So apologies for the volume, but they're all good things that will move our communities forward. The first item is ELMS number 30348. An ordinance by Council Member Jason Dozier, Amir Faroqi, Matt Westmoreland, Liliana Bakhtiari, Dustin Hillis, Byron Amos, Andrea L. Boone, Keisha Shawn Waits, Alex Wan, and Antonio Lewis to amend the 1982 Atlanta zoning ordinance as amended, regulating off-street parking in section 16-18A.015 of the SPI 1 Downtown Special Public Interest District, section 16-18P.020 of the SPI 16 Midtown Special Public Interest District, so as to update, modify, and revise certain provisions of said sections and for other purposes.
ELMS 30348 will be referred to the Zoning Committee and ZRB.
All right, next item is ELMS ID 30345. An ordinance by Council Member Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into service agreements with subrecipients for an amount not to exceed $23,112,720 included in the 2022 annual action plan budget of the 2020 to 2024 consolidated plan for the purpose of funding the 2022 Community Development Block Grant Program, 2022 Emergency Solutions Program, and the 2022 Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Program for the purpose of executing various contractual agreements for projects that are assigned to the Department of Grants and Community Development and various other departments of the city and for other purposes.
ELMS 30345 will be referred to CDHS Committee.
Next item is ELMS number 30343, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on designated sections of Westview Drive, Westview Place, and Browning Street Southwest to be specified and approved by the Atlanta Department of Transportation and for other purposes.
ELMS 30343 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Next item is ELMS number 30341, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on designated sections of Atwood Street, Lucille Avenue, Oglethorpe Avenue, and People Street Southwest to be specified and approved by the Atlanta Department of Transportation and for other purposes.
ELMS 30341 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Next item is ELMS number 30342, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Almont Drive Southwest and Oakland Drive Southwest to be specified and approved by the Atlanta Department of Transportation and for other purposes.
ELMS 30342 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
The next item is ELMS number 30346, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Cooper Street Southwest to be specified and approved by the Atlanta Department of Transportation and for other purposes.
ELMS 30346 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Next item is Elms number 30349, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on designated sections of Allegheny Street Southwest and Beecher Street Southwest to be specified and approved by the Atlanta Department of Transportation and for other purposes.
Elms 30349 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Next item is Elms number 30352, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Walnut Street Southwest to be specified and approved by the Atlanta Department of Transportation and for other purposes.
Elms 30352 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Next item is Elms number 30354, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on designated sections of Lawton Street Southwest and Fair Street Southwest to be specified and approved by the Atlanta Department of Transportation and for other purposes.
Elms 30354 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
And then I believe this is my last item, Elms number 30338. A resolution by Councilmember Jason Dozier increasing the boundaries of the West End Community Improvement District by annexing certain real property to provide for transmission to the tax commissioner and for other purposes.
Elms 30338 will refer to the CDHS Committee.
And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Let's continue celebrating the Jasons. Councilmember Winston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Elms 30325, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Winston, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to prohibit parking during carpool hours on Grant Street Southeast, between Bass Street Southeast and Pavilion Street Southeast, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install signage at the appropriate locations along the prohibited areas and for other purposes.
Elms 30325 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms 30326, a resolution by Councilmember Jason Winston, a resolution requesting the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install crosswalks at the intersection of Grant Street Southeast and Kendrick Avenue Southeast and for other purposes.
Elms 30326 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms 30327, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Winston, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersections of Grant Street Southeast and Ormond Street Southeast, Grant Street Southeast, and Bass Street Southeast all-way stop control intersections, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection and for other purposes.
Elms 30327 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms 30333, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Winston, an ordinance authorizing the City of Atlanta to donate American Rescue Plan Act funds to the Community Foundation of Greater Atlanta, the Community Foundation pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter, in an amount not to exceed $7,600,000 in order to support the Community Foundation's actions to facilitate the relocation of the residents of Forest Cove, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into any necessary amendments to the current memorandum of understanding with the Community Foundation in order to implement this additional donation in accordance with the American Rescue Plan Act requirements, to authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to make all payments from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms 30333 will refer to the CDHS Committee. Thank you, Councilmember Winston. Go to Councilmember Hillis.
First item is Elms ID 30289, an ordinance by Councilmember Dustin Hillis, authorizing the transfer of $5,000.00 from the Council District 9 carry forward account to the Council District 9 distribution account to continue serving the Atlanta community for the public good and for other purposes.
Elms 30289 will be referred to the Finance Committee.
Elms ID 30083, an ordinance by Councilmember Dustin Hillis, to waive the provisions of Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10, 209C and D of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, so as to modify the hours of operation on Monday, September 5, 2022, Labor Day only, for all licensed establishments authorized to sell alcoholic beverages for on-premises consumption and for other purposes.
Elms 30083 will refer to the Public Safety Committee.
Completes my items. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you, Council President. Elms 30321, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Langston Avenue Southwest and Victory Drive Southwest to Langston Avenue Southwest and Sylvan Road Southwest, and for other purposes.
Elms 30321 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms 30322, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Hubbard Street Southwest between Mary Street Southwest and Arthur Street Southwest, and for other purposes.
Elms 30322 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms 30323, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersections of Langston Avenue Southwest merging onto Sylvan Road Southwest always stop control intersections, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection, and for other purposes.
Elms 30323 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms 30324, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Pierce Street Southwest between Tift Avenue Southwest and Alene Avenue Southwest, and for other purposes.
Elms 30324 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms 30332, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of $20,000 from the Council District 12 Carry Forward account to the Council District 12 distribution account to continue serving the Atlanta community for the public good and for other purposes.
Elms 30332 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Elms 30315, a resolution by Councilmembers Antonio Lewis, Andrea L. Boone, Michael Julian Bond, Alex Wan, Liliana Bakhtiari, Jason Dozier, Jason Winston, Marcy Collier Overstreet, Byron Amos, Keisha Shun Waits. There were some new signees too. And Councilmember Amir Faroki. A resolution urging the mayor and the commissioner of the Department of Parks and Recreation to explore expanding the hours of operation of Roselle Fan Recreation Center, C.T. Martin Recreation Center, William Walker Recreation Center, Pittman Park Recreation Center, Dunbar Recreation Center, Bessie Brenham Recreation Center, Grant Park Recreation Center, and Corn Park Recreation Center to include Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30315 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
Elms 30357, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, Byron Amos. I think we added a co-sponsor of Howard Shook to this one. We added. So you're going to tell me how to do that right, I hope. But I know Howard Shook told me he wanted to co-sponsor this with me. Elms 30357, ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, co-sponsor Howard Shook, Byron Amos, Andrea Boone, Michael Julian Bond, Liliana Bakhtiari, Jason Dozier, Councilmember Matt Westmoreland, Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet, an ordinance naming the Atlanta City Council Committee Room the Larry Dingle Committee Room, and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30357 will be jointly referred to the Finance Exec Committee and the Committee on Council. Thank you, Councilmember Lewis. Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, Elms number ID, for those who are tracking it, 3340, a resolution by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to amend 17 agreements to transfer the agreements and activity occurring at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport from the owner-controlled insurance program number 4 to the newly created owner-controlled insurance program number 5 and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30340 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Thank you. Next is Elms 30359, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond to amend the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Part 3, Land Development Code, Part 16, Zoning, Chapter 36A, Affordable Workforce Housing, Beltline Overlay, Section 16-36A.001, Scope and Regulations, Section 16-36A.002, Findings and Statements of Intent, Section 16-36A.003, Definitions, and Section 16-36A.004, On-Site Affordability Requirements, and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30359 will be referred to the Zoning Committee.
Next is Elms 30355, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, an ordinance to amend the Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Aviation, Division 7, Ground Transportation, so as to update the regulations between taxi cabs and rideshare vehicles and for other purposes.
Elms 30355 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Next is Elms ID 30356, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, an ordinance to amend the Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Chapter 162, Vehicles for Hire, so as to update the regulations between taxi cabs and rideshare vehicles and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30356 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Mr. Westmoreland.
Thank you, Mr. President. 3 items. Elms number 30351. An ordinance by Councilmember Matt Westmoreland authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $1,000.00 from the Post to at Large carry forward account to Park Pride to assist in funding improvements to the Spring Lake Parks and for other purposes.
Elms 30351 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
30350, an ordinance by Councilmember Matt Westmoreland authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $5,000.00 from the Post to at Large carry forward account to Second Helpings Atlanta and for other purposes.
Elms 30350 will be referred to Finance Exec.
30353, an ordinance by Councilmember Matt Westmoreland authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $25,000 from the Post to at Large carry forward account to Park Pride to support neighborhood parks and community gardens across Atlanta and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30353 will be referred to Finance Exec Committee. Thank you, Councilmember Westmoreland. Councilmember Juan.
All right, thank you. First item, Elms ID 30339, an ordinance by Councilmember Alex Juan, providing for the issuance of not to exceed $4 million in aggregate principal amount of City of Atlanta general obligation bonds for various purposes, pursuant to and in accordance with an amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia ratified at the general election held on November 5th, 1968, and proclaimed by the Governor of the State of Georgia on December 13th, 1968. 1968 Georgia Laws 1586 to 1587 inclusive, and continued by 1986 Georgia Laws 484 to 4825 inclusive and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30339 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Elms 30336, a resolution by Councilmember Alex Juan authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute an encroachment agreement with Georgia Historical Society for the purpose of installing a historical marker at 240 Peachtree Street Northwest to recognize the arrest of Michael Hardwick in his home at 811 Ponce de Leon Place that led to the Supreme Court decision of Bowers v. Hardwick, a landmark decision for LGBTQ rights and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30336 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember Juan. Councilmember Amos.
AMS number ID 30337, an ordinance by Councilmember Byron Amos, ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to create the Series 2022A, a non-AMT Airport General Revenue Bond Fund 5547 Series 2022B B, AMT Airport General Revenue Bond Fund 5547 Series 2022C, non-AMT Airport Passenger Facility Charge and Subordinate Lien General Revenue Bond Fund 5548 and Series 2022D, AMT Airport Passenger Facility Charge and Subordinate Lien General Revenue Bond Fund 5548 to amend the FY 2023 budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations bond proceeds in the aggregate principal amount of $546,420,000.00 and recognize premiums received in a total amount of $57,638,948.75 for the Airport General Revenue Bond Series 2022A, B, and Passenger Facilities Charge and Subordinate Lien General Revenue Bond Series 2022C, D, and for other purposes.
Items ID 30337 will refer to the Finance Exec Committee.
Last one, Mr. Chair, AMS number 30358, an ordinance by Councilmember Byron Amos, an ordinance directing the Chief Financial Officer to anticipate and appropriate the balance of unspent funds in the amount of $48,744.65 originally donated from the Council 3 Office Carry Forward account to the Community Foundation for Greater Atlanta pursuant to Ordinance 21-0-0607 and for other purposes.
Items ID 30358 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Faroki.
Helms number 30344, an ordinance by Councilmember Amir Faroki authorizing the ratification of services rendered by and payments made to the Atlanta Fulton County Pre-Arrest Diversion Initiative, Inc., doing business as Policing Alternatives and Diversion Initiative, PAD, Inc., during the period from July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, in conjunction with that memorandum of understanding with PAD, Inc., through which PAD, Inc. provides pre-arrest diversion services throughout the city of Atlanta, and to authorize the mayor or his designee to exercise the second renewal option under the MOU with the term commencing July 1, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023. Add additional funds to the MOU using funds received by the city from the U.S. Department of Treasury under the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, in an amount not to exceed $4,500,000.00 and expand the scope of services under the MOU to include additional pre-arrest diversion services eligible for and consistent with the ARPA, to make any other modifications to the MOU as may be required by law due to the use of the ARPA funds and for other purposes.
Items 30334 will be referred to the Public Safety Committee. Thank you, Councilmember Faroki. Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Thank you, Council President. We have 3 papers today. First, Elms ID number 30328, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices along Wiley Street Southeast from Moreland Avenue Southeast to Whiteford Avenue Southeast and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30328 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms ID number 30329, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices along Gibson Street Southeast from Memorial Drive Southeast to Malden Street Southeast and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30329 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Elms ID number 30319, a resolution by council members Liliana Bakhtiari, Faroki, Dozier, Winston, Amos, Hillis, Boone, Overstreet, Lewis, Bond, Westmoreland, and Waits, a resolution authorizing the City of Atlanta to donate a total amount not to exceed $300,000.00 to Access Reproductive Care Southeast pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter to support the reproductive health care services provided by ARC, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into any necessary agreements to effectuate the donation and authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to make all payments from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30319 will be jointly referred to CDHS Committee and the Finance Exec Committee. Any other items? Councilmember Bakhtiari? Good. Thank you. Councilmember Overstreet, do you have an item? I do. Okay. Is there anyone? Oh, Councilmember Boone?
Elms number 30362, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of $10,000.00 from the District 10 carry forward account to the District 10 distribution account to continue serving the Atlanta community for the public good and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30362 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Councilmember
One or two. I read in the
Councilmember
first one.
Overstreet.
Okay, while we wait on the other one, I'll just read this one in. This is ELMS number 30361, an ordinance by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of $5,000 from the District 11 carry forward account to the District 11 distribution account to continue serving the Atlanta community for the public good and for other purposes.
Elms ID 30361 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Thank you. And in a moment, I'll read in one more.
So Councilmember Waits, you want to go ahead, and then Councilmember Overstreet, you can come back with your additional paper. Councilmember Waits.
Greetings. Elms number 30360, an ordinance by Councilmember Keisha Waits. An ordinance authorizing the transfer of $20,000.00 from the Post 3 at-large carry forward account to the Post 3 at-large distribution account to continue serving the Atlanta community for the public good.
Elms ID 30360 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Councilmember Overstreet.
Thank you. This is ELMS number 30363, an ordinance by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet to amend the Atlanta zoning ordinance to clarify the regulations regarding rooming houses and to allow the enhanced enforcement against the recent proliferation of illegal rooming houses in single-family and two-family residentially zoned districts and for other purposes. If anyone is having this issue, I'd love for you all to sign on to this as well.
Elms ID 30363 will be referred to the Zoning Committee.
I'll grab the names and we'll make sure that we put that amendment in for Monday.
Councilmember Bond wants his name added. All right. Any other personal papers, or items for today? Hearing none, we'll move to general remarks. Any general remarks from the body? All right. Hearing none. Sorry, Councilmember Dozier.
I'll be quick, I promise. Just for the general public, our office is hosting our next District 4 Town Hall meeting on Wednesday, July the 20th, 6 o'clock p.m. We are co-hosting that with Neighborhood Planning Unit S. It will be held at Vickers, the Community Center on Cascade. That address is 834 Cascade Avenue Southwest, and it is also on Route 21, so feel free to catch the bus. It comes every 15 to 20 minutes during peak hours, and I hope to see you there.
Thank you. Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Yep, just two quick announcements. First, we have coffee with the council member. I do this once a month. For anyone who has issues in District 5 or has questions and wants to come meet, I'll be at Drip Coffee this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Glenwood, in Glenwood Park. We do this every month as a form of accessibility, so if you have issues, you can always come, sit down, have coffee, and we'll talk it out. Also, I just wanted to say that Atlanta just became the first city in the South to unanimously pass access to counsel And that's going to go towards fighting evictions in the hardest hit communities, not communities like mine, not like District 5, but other communities around the city, like parts of Southwest and West End that are being hit hard by predatory evictions right now. So this is gonna save a lot of lives, and I'm just very grateful that we have an administration and a council that unanimously back this. So thank you.
Any other general remarks? Hearing none, Madam Deputy Clerk, please sound the adjourning roll call.
Council President Shipman.
Present.
Council members Bond. Westmoreland. Waits. Winston. Faroki. Amos. Dozier.
Present.
Bakhtiari. Juan. Shook. Norwood. Hillis. Boone. Overstreet. And Lewis. Bakhtiari.
Now entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Bakhtiari, seconded by Winston. Without objection, we stand adjourned.